All right. Here we go. Okay. All right. Whew. All right. Hi, everyone. Sorry for that issue. I think we should be working now, but let me just take a couple minutes to tell all the people from the other live to join this live because that's what we got to do. All right. So. What is going on here? Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Put in the chat where you're from and something you'd like to learn from our live stream today. I'm trying to comment on the old video, but all right, so I'm seeing YouTube is here, IG is up and running, and let's see if the evil one is up and running. I think the evil one is up and running with TikTok, yes. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So we've arrived. Thank you guys so much for your patience. I'm gonna put my sound down and go here. Okay. All right, so welcome to the live stream. What I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be sharing my new book, maybe doing some readings. We used to do that early on in the beginning of all my live streams, and chatting with you guys and teaching you some things. So let's jump in. Put in the chat, where do we want to start with this? Let's do a collective reading for everyone, and then I'll get into some rapid fire readings, and then I'm going to teach this maybe I'll do readings and teach at the same time. We'll see where it goes. You know how my mind goes. All right, so let's do collective reading for you guys, August 20th. Thank you guys so much for your patience. I'm trying to learn to live stream, and I'm not good with technology. That's why I had Hermes open right here, trying to invoke Hermes, who governs technology, Hode, and the number 8. But hey, we've arrived. We got here, so he did show up eventually, but he was late. But that makes sense because he's a little bit of a he's a trickster. So hey, Julie, so glad you're here. Jonathan, Rebecca, Iram, ZZZ, Lorena. So we're gonna do a quick little reading for the collective. For you guys, I invoke the Iao, that thou send Haru, the great angel, set upon the operations of the secret wisdom, place visible hands upon these consecrated cards of art, thereby into knowledge of hidden things, your ineffable name. Amen. All right, let's see what we got. I think my top camera is lagging. Let me know if this camera with the cards is lagging. All right, 8 of Cups. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. Sometimes you just gotta let it go. This is me right now. This is me like, oh my God, I put all this work into making this live stream work and nothing is working. This happens to me always with technology. With other things in life, things work out. But with technology, it's always something. It's always something. You know, it's like, this is me letting it be incomplete. And I don't like incomplete. I like everything to be absolutely perfect, right? Hence the new book coming out, which is perfect. No, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. But oh my God, we'll get into the book in a moment. But 8 of Cups. This is a card of, it's just never going to be absolutely totally complete in the way that you want it. But you know what? It leaves room. It leaves wiggle room. That's the phrase, right? Wiggle room. So I had this vision I'll share with you guys. This was like years ago when I really started my spiritual journey, like my real spiritual journey, not my personal growth, cultural transformation journey. Like, who am I? Like, what, like my real spiritual journey when I was trying to when I was going through existential crisis one after another. And I had this vision that's very 8 of Cups related that I'll share with you really briefly, because I know I'm a control freak, and I know if I'm a control freak, I'm sure a lot of you guys may relate to that. I know a lot of my students are like, not all of my students, but a lot of my students are ADHD, and we're like very creative, but we want everything to like fit in place. And so I was doing this meditation, and I was like observing the part of my mind that loves for every little thing to fit in place, which is why, I study the Tarot and Qabalah and all these frameworks that are so conceptually neat and poetic, but they kind of just, everything fits, right? Numerology, tarot, symbolism, etc. Oh, is it lagging? Is that what's happening? But I had this vision of rope, which I don't understand because I'm the farthest thing from a sailor, and I kind of hate the ocean, actually, even though I have a lot of Pisces in me. I really don't like the ocean. And I saw this knotted rope, and I realized that everything that I want segmented to fit perfectly in the puzzle of reality is this rope, is this like interweaving rope. And there's no, like, everything that we experience is one segment of this interweaving rope, but it only weaves in and out of our life to a certain extent. But the rope doesn't begin and end there in our life's experience. So imagine that you're this like sphere, and this sphere occupies one tiny little segment of this giant tangled rope. And you have it appears like you have all these ropes in your life. It appears like you have all these segments of experience, but really it's all tied up into like countless other things. And that leads to the frustration of nothing actually fits quite into place when you look at it from the perspective of your own limited body-mind system, your own point of view. So that helped me overcome that. Mercury is in microwave. Probably. Yeah, I wonder why this is doing that. Because I can see it lagging on my side. can you at least hear me? Is that okay? Yeah, it's lagging a little bit. I wonder why that's happening. Okay, we might have to kill off one of the channels. We might have to kill off the evil channel. You guys know what I'm talking about. The initials are T and T because I'm streaming to 3. Let me see if I kill off the evil one. So if you're watching me on TT, which I can't say, join me on YT, which is the still evil but much less evil channel, and I'll see you there. I don't think so. Okay, let's try that. This, if you guys don't know, today is my rehearsal for Saturday, which is the book launch live stream, book launch and celebration and class, where I'm going to go really deep into the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer and teach a bunch of things. I'll teach some stuff today as well, but this is like my prep day to see how this works. Okay, let's just, you know what I love? I'll tell you what I love on Macs. I love Force Quit. Do you guys use Force Quit on anything, like, ever? For all my Apple users out there, I kind of love Apple way too much, way more than I should. But do you guys use Force Quit? Like, is that not the best thing that ever existed? The amount of times I use Force Quit, I probably use Force Quit more than any other function on my Mac. I don't know what that says about me, but talk about an 8 of Cups. Talk about an 8 of Cups letting go. I think it's less. Are we smoother now? I think we're smoother now that I deleted the evil channel, TikTok. Okay, so yeah, Force Quit is my favorite thing to do. Okay, so that's what it is. TikTok is just not going to get the sauce. I'm sorry, TikTok. Your algorithm sucks, and you don't pay your creators. So this is what we have to do. But YouTube, Instagram, you guys are real ones. So we'll stick with you. This is so much better. Oh, I knew it was something. You know, another thing with TikTok, it doesn't allow you to like stream the way that the other platforms do. It makes you go through this silly thing called TikTok Live. It's really a mess. It's such a mess. The algorithm is really good, but everything else about it, creating, editing, like all the programs, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like, yeah, it's a bit laggy. We'd love to get your new book. Okay, so let's go into, let's do some readings for my people that are already here. So if you want a reading from me, I'm going to do rapid fire readings. Put a question in the chat, and then I'll do some readings, and I might teach a little bit as well as I do readings. Now, the way these readings work and the way I'm programming them to work is as follows. I'm going to do a reading for one person at a time, but the reading that I do may be relevant to you even if I'm not directly reading to you. So there's 3 things that are going to be happening while I do these readings. Number 1, I'm doing the reading for who's ever asking the reading. Obviously, that's obvious, right? I'm doing a reading for whoever asked the question. So I'm going to focus the energy mostly for that question. Thing number 2 is everyone else that's currently live, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, it may or may not resonate with you, right? So the way energy works and egregores and things, it's like, it's very common for a lot of patterns to show up in a group when a group comes together just by how the energy attracts the group, okay? So it may be relevant to you. Third thing, I may, and I probably will, teach as I'm reading. So I'll read and then I might pull open the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer and then teach a little bit about like what I'm doing with the reading and also going deeper into Tarot Mysticism. So a couple things, if you didn't know, and you all probably know this already, but if you did not know this, I am publishing a new book on Saturday, which has been a really crazy journey. I'll give you the brief history around how this book came to be. So for years, people have been asking me to create a physical version of my ebooks. So stuff like this, like these books that I used to kind of post around, different things. You guys probably know I have like, yikes. I have like 8 or 9 or 10 like ebooks that are people really like. Okay. My marketing is pretty good, right? But yeah, I create a lot of free stuff, free videos, free ebooks, a lot of free stuff for esoteric tarot education and supporting people in studying tarot in the context of mysticism and personal growth. So I have all these free ebooks, and people have been asking me for years to create a physical version of them. And then my students have also been asking me for years to create a physical publication of a Tarot Mysticism Academy textbook. Now, the thing is, when you join Tarot Mysticism Academy, those ebooks that are usually 10, 15, 20 pages, all of a sudden, you're looking at virtual textbooks that are 200 pages. And then there's like, each course has a giant like virtual ebook. Some are smaller, but some are really big. So my students have been asking me for physical publications of the textbooks. So, and I have not had time to really do this. And actually, I didn't even have time this year, but about 3 months ago or so, the muses came down and they were like, hey, you need to do the physical book now, your second book. Because I had my first book, right? Tarot Mysticism, which you guys probably know about. I published that through Llewellyn a year or two or ago, I don't know. And it was successful and great, and it just won an award thanks to you guys, by the way. So, like maybe a few weeks ago, it won the Audience People's Choice Award with the Tabby Awards because you guys voted for it, and so that was like the sign of like, yes, this book needs to come out. And I actually said, I don't know how long ago this was. I actually said 3 months ago. I think it was 3 months ago. I told my all my people on my email list. I said, if this book wins an award, I'm going to finally publish in physical form a version of my ebooks. And it won the award. And now, 2 days from today, we're publishing this book. So this is my big thank you to everyone who supported my work over the years, but everyone who voted for Tarot Mysticism to get that award. It means a lot. Because that book took a long time. A long, long time. Okay. Cool. So this book came to be, and let me tell you, like, I had to self-publish this book because it was a lot of material from the actual Tarot Mysticism Academy that was already complete, like in some ways complete. Like there was a lot of visuals and things, but also the ebook that is in the beginning. So you'll recognize this page from my free material. This comes with it, and also the Perennial Philosophy as well. So the content was there, but it wasn't formatted. So it took me 3 months to figure out how to format all of this in a way that I could self-publish through Amazon, and it's been insane. It's been so insane and so challenging and difficult because Amazon is insane, and I don't know why I thought it would be easy. I thought you just upload it and then you do... No. I pretty much did like proofreading, editing, formatting, the interior stuff, and then, oh my God. And now there's even more issues, but it is now scheduled to be released this Saturday. So this Saturday, August 22nd, it is scheduled to release. There is one important thing I have to say about this though, which I hate to say this, but I have to warn you guys. There's a chance that it might not be available Saturday because you go on Amazon KDP, their self-publishing print on demand thing, and they all tell you contradicting information. So I've been going back and forth with them being like, hey, so I have this whole marketing campaign. I have this whole schedule. People are expecting to get the book on Saturday. Is this going to happen? Yes, maybe not. No, yes. Yeah. It's nuts. You'd think that such a big corporation would be competent, but hey, you do what you can. You do what you can. So I think it's going to be available Saturday. What I'm doing is this. You guys probably know this already, but here's how I'm doing it. I am Saturday when I release the book, I'm charging pretty much as low as I possibly can for them to print the book, which is $35, which has, because it's a 200-page book and it's a lot of visuals, and we're doing the highest printing quality. So $35 is like about the lowest you can go to even print the book and pay Amazon. After that, price is going up. But Saturday, for you guys, lowest price I can possibly do. So I'm asking everyone to order Saturday, as long as it's available, and I'll keep you updated. So on Saturday, I'm going to send you guys the link. There's like there's a bunch of different Amazon marketplaces, but if you search it on Saturday, you should find the book pretty easily. But the actual, what is it called? The actual link that we are using for all the information about the book, I'm going to put in the chat if I can find it. This one. Okay. So yeah, are we still lagging? Are we still this far behind? Okay, that's fine. That's just what it's going to be, I guess. All right, and we're good on Instagram too. Okay, cool. All right. So that's the whole thing. Great. Oh no, we're still lagging on Instagram. Are we lagging on Instagram? If you're watching me on Instagram, just let me know if we're lagging or not, because it looks like it's lagging on my side, or it looks like it's very delayed, which is like, ugh. This is my 8 of Cups. I need to 8 of Cups and just let it go. But you know what? I'm a perfectionist. This is my Jupiter in Virgo. Like, I like everything to be exactly where it needs to be, and I will put in the work to make it where it needs to be, you know? Talk about letting go of control, you know? It's so funny. As someone who does all this spiritual work and all this stuff, and like, you know, I feel like I have these existential moments of complete release, but in like day-to-day stuff, I'm like, everything needs to be exactly where it needs to be. It's like the meme with the Spider-Man and the 2 guns. Okay. Or no, the 2, like Spider-Man, the 3 Spider-Man. It's like, huh, okay. Anyway. So yeah, that's what's gonna go down. My goal is to have this thing ready for you guys Saturday. Now, for my students, this book, another reason why I'm rushing this book is because we have an advanced tarot program starting in the fall, which it's already almost the fall. So in advanced tarot, we're going to get really into Kabbalistic and astrological tarot work, both for divinatory practice and also for inner work, path working, and healing. So that's a lot of information. And what's going to really help you is a reference guide like this that has all the correspondences color-coded, both astrologically, elementally, Kabbalistically, and so on. This has all the correspondences that you can use as a meditation guide, as a reference guide to study, and also in your divinatory practice to meditate. So I'm really trying to get this out as soon as possible so you guys have this, because in October, we're starting a directed study period for the advanced level 2 material, again, Kabbalistic and astrological tarot. And then we have that 2-day intensive in November where we're going to do a deep dive into the material. So this type of, for my students out there, these correspondences, like the Tree of Life and the Wheel of the Zodiac, I do recommend memorizing, but it's not going to happen overnight. So this guide will help you in that process. And if you don't memorize it by our advanced training program, you'll have this right in front of you for reference, and it kind of explains a lot of stuff. So that's another thing. For non-students, this is going to be really good as an introduction, brief introduction to these topics. It kind of condenses like many years of different books and studies into one primer that guides you and gives you a map through all of this and gives you like the main correspondences and why they're all connected. One of the things that I do differently than a lot of the occult tarot content out there is my work is a little bit more geared towards mysticism, which is different than the occult usually in how people categorize things. And the main difference is that mysticism is anything that supports one's recognition of their true nature, eventually directly with the divine. Whereas the occult, there's many other fancy things and practices you can do in the occult. Some have that goal, some do not. It depends on what you're doing in that world. This is no shade to the occult. I'm just saying, like, you'll notice even my first book, Tarot Mysticism, was not, it didn't have a whole bunch of information about Aleister Crowley. It did have a lot of information about mysticism, non-duality, and using tarot as an existential tool for recognizing your oneness with reality, your identity with what is actually real, which is very important because think of how many things, most of our suffering, at least a lot of people's in the world, not everyone, but if you're fortunate enough that a lot of your suffering is just psychological, right? Maybe some health things as well, but so much, the psychological suffering comes out of a misinterpretation of reality, and mysticism is the final say of that level of work. And then you get into the existential sigh of relief beyond that. So yeah, plus there's many fun things along the way. Okay, now that I've ranted, let's do some readings. What can I do to resolve my back pain? Okay, so back pain is saying starting something new. 5 of Wands, tension, star, healing, Magician. Okay, here's what I'm saying for your back pain. Ace of Wands is saying start a new creative project. The back pain is creating limitations for you where you can't do certain things that you used to love doing. Five of Wands is showing the tension, muscular tension in the body, could be a pinched nerve. This is not medical advice. I'm just a tarot reader. But the card could say, hey, look at muscular tension, pinched nerves, and also how you hold them physically potentially from emotional places. The star is saying working with water, taking more time off, taking more self-care, but the magician is saying doing something online or something to do with writing. Writing online messages, could be tarot, could be writing a poem, could be writing a book, something with communication or technology that you're passionate about. That, I'm not saying that will necessarily help solve the back pain, but it will lessen it because you'll be usually when there's a physical ailment, not always, but usually we can find some sort of benefit to it to help redirect us. It takes up to 3 days. As long as you have already got it approved, you'll be golden. Having it tagged properly is the main issue for. Oh, thank you so much, colorful. Colorful. That really helps. Yeah, I went through the 72-hour they check it process. And then they confirmed it. So now it's set. The release date is set for Saturday. I just want to make sure that we don't get to Saturday and they're like, oh, like it may take longer. Like the release date is set. So everything should be good. But yeah, it's been, oh my God. I'm a generally impatient person. So I'm just like, just the way I operate, like I get things done fast and efficiently and like I'll do the thing. So when it involves like third parties that have their own process, I'm like twitching my eyes and it's great. You know, that's my area of work. Okay. This is from Aiko Jazz. I am stuck and don't know what should I do with my life, especially career. Any advice? All right, Aiko. So the Devil, this is a great card for career, actually. You might be like, what, the Devil? This is a great card for career. And this is a good teaching moment. So, well, let's look at the Devil for a general reading first. First of all, it's saying the advice from the Devil is always to be hyper practical and think about the results. Think about like the material results that show up. Devil is the Lord of the gates of matter. And, and the thing with the Devil is, he's showing us the half of the truth, which is the material world, as opposed to the full truth of the divine. He's showing us the usefulness of the illusion, which is really important because a lot of people in the spiritual community want to bypass the usefulness of the illusion. Me included. Okay, so the idea here is to you have to look at this is if you were to go to the Devil as a coach, the Devil card would say, okay, you need to know how much money you want to make, how much money you need to survive, like literally what does it cost to live for you, like go through those questions. What does it cost to live? How much would I like to make and what would I spend that money on? Have those numbers first, and then from there go into the Ikigai work of what do I love doing? What does society need? What am I talented at? What am I really good at? Like, do that work and brainstorm. What I can say from the Devil card as well is the Devil card is not always a card of you get it first on the right try. It's a card of you have to make mistakes. So over the next month or so, you might try several things or get involved with different things, and it like might fit, but not quite. And then a couple of years down the line, you find your thing. So... So lots of stuff there. Be careful of being distracted with your career. So the Devil card, the Hebrew letter associated with the Devil card, ayin, is the symbol is the eyes. So the Devil is all about the eyes and what draws our eye, whether for good or for not. So be careful of being distracted. Be careful of what things look like on the outside, but at the same time remain totally practical. Now, another thing for practicality, for my Kabbalists out there, and this is another way you can use this book. So you pull the Devil card, you go to the Tree of Life, you see that there's a highlighted path between 8 and 6, Hod and Tiferet. This path represents the relationship between the intellect or the mind in Hod and the ego self in Tiferet. So the ego and the mind, this is important. Ego in 6, mind in 8, the relationship between the two. The ego is that sense of you being an individual, very simply. And there, if you look into your ego, it's your sense of self. It's your idea of yourself as a separate entity, not as reality. As reality, there's no separation of what you are. But in the matrix, there is. So the devil shows the relationship between the ego, the sense of a separate self, and the mind. What does the mind do? It's the suit of swords. What do swords do? They separate. They separate things. They cut things into pieces. The mind looks at reality and says, this is Joe, this is a book, this is a microphone, etc., right? So that whole process happening is the devil card. Now, that whole process is an illusion. And the good news is we get to say goodbye to it when the body-mind dissolves. But while the illusion is running and while we are enjoying our time here, we have to take it into consideration. We have to play into the dream. So playing into the dream with the devil card is being so practical, oftentimes in a uncomfortably conventional sense. What does that mean? That means playing the game of when you show up to a job interview, faking it till you make it. Like the games we have to play to move forward that people hate so much. It's part of the dream. It's a dream within a dream within a dream. That's Inception. That's the devil card. That was a fun one. I love the devil card. It's so good. Now, if I were to give you some more details on, like, more specifics on career paths for you, a couple things that the devil can show up for. Devil can show up for physical labor. It can show up potentially for something athletic. It can show up for helping people with drug abuse, alcoholism. It can show up, addiction. It can show up for corporation, business. It can show up for executive work. It can show up for consulting in all those arenas. What else can it show up for? Can potentially show up for banking, finance, and can also show up for modeling. So those are just some things. To notice which one, when I said it, you were like, ooh, what felt lightest in your body? Okay, Govinda, guidance for my new ministry, please. Oh, this is so fun. All right. Guidance for Govinda's new ministry, please. I'm going to test again. Just because we got the devil card, I want to test the evil platform again. You know what that is. And see if we slow down again. But, okay, Govinda. Okay, the Hermit. Let's start with the Hermit. Let's just chill with him for a moment. Hermit shows slow beginnings, but it's also a perfect card for your question, which is your ministry. We know that the Hermit is a teacher. So this is saying a big yes for all of that fun stuff. Now, I'm going to give a little bit more nuance here as I dig into the Hermit. So the Hermit is saying, yes, you are lighting the way for people and you are at this height. You are like on top of the mountain at this heightened state of awareness, of spiritual development, and you are lighting like a beacon, like a lighthouse. You are lighting the path for people. But I'm gonna pull up some new things with the Hermit. The Hermit card is connected to Virgo and the Hebrew Yod. Hebrew Yod is also a great card for ministry because Yod is the first letter of God's name. And it's also the lamp the fire of the lamp he's holding. Virgo is mutable earth. And the thing about all the earth signs is they're very patient and slow. Earth is especially slow because it's mutable. There's a passivity to the mutable signs. So when you combine the passivity of mutable with the slowness of Earth, you get Virgo. Now, that slowness is important for the following reasons. When you take something slow and you consider every step, the end result is more beneficial to you than if you rush into things. So Hermit is saying, either you will need to slow down or things will not happen as fast as you want, but it will absolutely get there. Another thing, Virgo is ruled and exalted by Mercury, which is our logos. And as ministry is helping people understand, connect with, realize the logos, the word, the will, the whole game of it all, the whole essence of the divine. But yeah, so it's a great card for that. But yeah, take it slow. This is interesting because there's the spiritual work, but then Virgo energy is also very analytical. So there's also that. What else? The path on the tree of life, Hesed and Tiferet. Hesed is the loving kindness of God. Tiferet is the ego that we talked about before. So this energy is the descent from God, the divine's loving kindness, into Tiferet, into the ego. So this is literally God's loving kindness descending into your point of view as an experience of a body mind, and sharing that with the world, sharing that loving kindness with the world. So it's a very big yes card, very, very big. Literally, the hermit's lamp is the gifting of Hesed to Tiferet. And we all know Tiferet is associated with all the dying gods, including Jesus and Buddha. And the people say Buddha is not a dying god, but the formula is the same. So great card for a ministry question. Let me know, guys, if I start lagging, because I just added the evil platform. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Love this workbook. Is it for sale? The physical workbook will be for sale Saturday. If you go to the link in the description or link in my bio, click Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer. It will have all the information about this book. There is a digital excerpt that you can download of the book for free. And then that will also be the wait list for the physical version, which releases Saturday. Saturday is the day to order. It's going to be reduced price on Saturday. This Saturday, August 22nd, if everything goes well. That's the plan. So yeah, Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer. It's Hydrate, Joe. What are... Wait, Cindy, I have to know. Every time I do a live, somebody tells me to hydrate, and I just want to know if it's always you or if it's just different people, like on different lives. But that's a great, that's a good idea. I always do fill up water for everything I do, classes, lives, everything, and then I never drink it. I have a theory as to why. I don't know if it's true, but when I've spoken to people who do Ayurvedic medicine and all of that, they've told me I'm very the air one. I always forget what they are. Pitta, Kapha, Vata or something. I'm the air one, the one that's really airy and dry and stuff. So I don't know, maybe that's where it. My birth card is a swords card, so Oh, are we buffering again? Oh, no. Okay, we got to go. Is that evil platform? It lagged. That's so funny. All right, so if you're on my TikTok, we have to move this to... I wonder why this is happening like this. Okay. If you're on my TikTok, then you have to move to my YouTube. We have to destroy, because TikTok is the evil platform. So we're going to destroy that. Hey, it's another opportunity to use the force quit function, which I love so much. I love that thing. Oh my God, it's so fun. This is very Ten of Wands coded right now. Doing the multi-stream, because Ten of Wands is like Lord of Oppression, and then it's like all these things, the burden of everything. Very Ten of Wands. I've been watching, because now that this book is pretty much done, what I do is I work like an insane person for like 3 months, and then I take like a few days to like do something completely different, which is usually binge watch a show or read something. I don't really do. I'm always like working, but in those quieter times. So I'm entering a slightly more chill time for a moment now that this book is done and ready to release this Saturday. And I've been watching season 3 of House of the Dragon. Oh my God, it is the best representation of the Ten of Wands. Okay, we're freezing all over the place now. All right. Okay, that's gone. Let's see if I think it will be smoother now. Okay. Now it should be better. Maybe if I stream in a lower quality. If anyone like streams often, put in the chat any advice for this. I want to be able to stream to YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok all together. It seems to be working for YouTube and Instagram, but when I add the evil one, it lags. So I'm wondering maybe if I should play with lowering the pixels or the frame rate, which I just learned what that was a month ago. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say those platforms on this one. I have to apologize to the YouTube gods for talking about the evil one. All right, let's go back to Peculiar Endeavors. It's so good to see you. It's been so long. I'm so happy you're here. All right, let's go to, did I do the career guidance for Ayushi? I don't think I did. So I'm going to do the career guidance for Ayushi, and I'll teach a little while we're doing this as well. And you guys let me know if the lagging clears up or not. Thank you guys so much for coming to my dress rehearsal for Saturday's launch event. I mean, for Saturday, maybe for Saturday I might. No, I'll try doing YouTube and Instagram together, but maybe I'll just do YouTube. I don't know. All right, career guidance for Ayushi. All right, the Temperance card is possible multiple jobs or freelancing and doing multiple projects. Because Temperance is combining a lot of things together. So that's one way we can look at it. Another way we can look at it is balancing work-life balance, classic. Could also be balancing work priorities with non-work, like family, again, it's all, work-life balance. But Temperance can also be, could be bartending, coffee shop, could be energy healing, Reiki, could be tarot, in the sense of helping people align and rebalance and heal. But this is a card of alignment and rebalance. So let's pull up Temperance for a moment. So could be aspects of therapy, psychology, inner work. What else could it be? Or again, it could be juggling 3 jobs or consulting or freelancing and doing multiple projects altogether. Maintaining that balance. So where does all of this information come from besides Joe's intuition? So the esoteric title of Temperance is Daughter of the Reconcilers. So what is the Reconcilers? Well, there's many interpretations to this. And this is a Golden Dawn title that probably McGregor Mathers came up with. Here's a couple ways we can interpret that. So first of all, we know that the Tree of Life, as a map of creation and a map of reality and everything and yourself, it's a balancing act between essentially the observer and the observed. That which is observing and listening to me right now, that and the observed, my actual voice, this video, like this dance we're having between subject and object is the basic dance that the whole Tree of Life manifests and expresses. And there's many levels to this. So the reconcilers could be the 2 pillars of mercy and severity. That would be one interpretation. Another interpretation of reconciliation is the reconciliation between Tiferet in number 6 and number 9, which is Yesod. Tiferet is the sun, Yesod is the moon. The sun represents our ego and our localized consciousness. The moon represents our subconsciousness, but also the astral world, which can be the same and can be different depending on what you're doing. Now, the Temperance comes in, and she's actually one of the most important cards of, well, they're all important. They're all equally important, but she's one of the most important cards of the tarot because she's literally the spine that connects the conscious sun with the subconscious moon. She is part of the 3-card spine of the Tree of Life together with the World and the High Priestess. So when I talk about the 3 stages of spiritual development and awakening, I usually use these 3 cards to talk about the 3 phases. So notice how I'm going deep now as we go into the esoteric side. So I started with, by the way, this is a good teaching moment for everyone because this is the question that commonly gets asked is, Joe, how do you take all this esoteric knowledge and apply it in a reading? This is how you do it. It's a matter of how deep you want to go and how far you want to go with it. So notice how the first thing I said, I gave the classic divination, which is, the question was career. So I said, okay, Temperance could be coffee shop, bartender, energy healing potentially tarot, potentially inner work, working with the subconscious, therapy. So I gave some possible career options that this Temperance is showing me. But now I'm going deeper. What do all of these jobs have in common? Think about it. Therapy, energy healing, bartender, coffee shop. What do they all have in common? They all have in common supporting somebody rebalance something, like moderating the exact proportions of one thing or another. So in therapy, you're integrating different parts of yourself. You're balancing different parts of yourself. In any types of inner work, whether Jungian or even somatic work, all the healing modalities have to do with integrating different parts of yourself in the right proportion that allows you to live the life that you want to live. Okay? So, what obviously with coffee shop and bartender, that's the same thing, but literally, like you're literally balancing out the proportions of alcohol or coffee or tea or whatever. But even beyond that, you're helping somebody else balance the chemicals they want in their brain to achieve what they want to achieve, whether it's their like 8 a.m. coffee to get through the workday, or if it's their 8 p.m. drink to get through their existential woes. Who knows? You know, you're helping them balance the inner mind, body, literal chemicals and emotions and states to achieve what they want. So notice how deep this goes. When you go on the Tree of Life, we see the same thing. We see the balance, the daughter of the reconcilers, the balance between Tiferet and the sun, which is consciousness, the conscious mind, and Yesod, the moon, which is the subconscious. So that there's so much to this. Now, one thing amazing, serving profession. Is that what you're doing or what you're thinking about? Could be healthcare. Okay, cool. Definitely could be healthcare. Yes, I could see healthcare. So Temperance can potentially show up for that. Yeah, actually, yeah. Medicine, because the distribution, I have like, nurses are like the best humans I've ever met. I've had a lot of like nurses come into Tarot Mysticism Academy. It is so fun because they have this amazing clinical background and then they study tarot and they join the dark side, but then they have all this. It's so great working with like nurses and healthcare workers. It's so interesting to see what they do with tarot and see how they think about it. Yeah. So lots of depth here. We can go into, just to help emphasize the idea of balancing and stabilizing. There's a balance happening with the Hebrew letter Samek, and the symbol of Samek is the tent peg or a prop, anything that keeps something standing. So the essence of the Temperance is dynamic balance to keep something standing. So everyone, if you have your tarot journals out, write that down. Temperance equals dynamic balancing to keep something standing. So whether that's the Tree of Life in the universe or pouring someone a coffee so that they don't really lose their mind and get through the workday, or pouring somebody like vodka cranberry so that they can, that's what I used to drink when I used to drink. I don't drink anymore because I was a wuss. I was only doing vodka cranberries. Come on. As if that's a surprise, you know. No, I did do Red Bull, vodka Red Bull and Mad Dogs. Do you remember those? And Four Loko? Well, that was in college. It's been a long time since then. Okay, moving on. Joe just has a flashback. Oh, good times. But even that, right? So here's the essence of Tarot mysticism. And if you're, this is where you guys want to pay attention, because this is where I want to see people go with tarot if they want to. And this is one of the things I think is the most beautiful about it. We just went from job prospects to inner balancing of the self and all the therapy, to the balancing of the cosmos, back to the balancing of like the same balance that occurs so beautifully, archetypally, with the sun and the moon, the consciousness and the subconsciousness, up and down, the tent peg, the balance that is required for the arrow, the pulling back of the arrow of Sagittarius and the release of arrow of Sagittarius here. That same balance is the same balance that we see when your barista pours the cup of coffee. Like, it's the same balance. That coffee, not just the balance of the coffee itself, but the perceived balance that it brings to your life in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Same thing with the bar, right? That brief bit of euphoria that one might get from alcohol, or the brief bit of perceived energy one might get from coffee, it's the same cost and benefit balance that is in the universe. And there's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just about where we want to go, which is why the motto of temperance is I see, I go. I see, I go. See, this is so, I didn't even, like, do you see how it all fits together? I didn't even plan this. Like, all of the symbols and the associations, they just fit together. And then you start viewing life from this place of coherence and harmony, where everything is just another expression of the divine. It's a scenic path, right? Tarot mysticism is a scenic path. It's an engagement with life and seeing, like the temperance does, the cost and benefit of every little thing. But see, you know, it all comes back to I see, I go. You know, it's every card is active all the time. You know, a lot of people will ask, like, does tarot really work? Is it accurate? And I'm like, the question is, it's a matter of course it works, but the question is, why does it work? Like, you know, what are like, and the answer is all the cards work because they're all true all the time. Because the symbols weren't just created arbitrarily one day. It's 500 years of historical development, but even longer development of the core ideas in the tarot. The core esoteric ideas are thousands of years old. Like, they're nothing new. They're so in the subconscious, collective unconscious pool of humans, and even beyond our species subconscious. Like, they're just, you know, it's an expression of reality. So when you engage at this level, it's like these symbols go from all the way from the inner alchemy and all the esoteric stuff of the temperance to just pouring your cup of coffee in the morning. It's all there. So that's what I love. That's what I love so much about this level of work. Yeah, and you just keep going forward with it. Temperance is a great card to start this type of exploration. Like, when you're walking down the street, just notice one foot, the other, one foot, the other. That's temperance, right? If you're do any kind of yoga, if you do pranayama, breathing work, that's temperance, right? Temperance is the Ida and the Pingala, and the Ida and the Pingala, right? So it's a matter of how you want to use. In practice, it's a matter of how you want to use the symbolism. In mysticism, it's all the symbolism pointing to the same thing. Write that down in your tarot journal. In practice, it's a matter of how do I want to use the symbolism? What is the goal? So for a tarot reading, we pull temperance and we say, okay, coffee shop, medicine, energy work, healing, bartender. In mysticism, it's letting the symbols all point to the same thing, which is ultimately the divine, which is ultimately consciousness, that is the consciousness that is hearing my words right now. It's that, right? Somebody was commented the other day, then they were like, and they said something that was very important to me, or important to be heard in general, but they commented, they said, on one of my videos, they said, you have to eventually realize that the tarot is just a springboard into the higher esoteric spiritual understanding of oneness. And I clapped back a little sassy. I was like, but this is true. The tarot and all these tools, they are only a springboard into the I'll tell you what I responded with in a moment, but the tarot and all these tools are a springboard into the higher work, the real spiritual work, which is the recognition of one's identity, not personal identity, but existential identity. And once that is done, even only a little bit, if just a smidge of oh, wait a second, all of reality might be completely different as what I thought it was, then your life begins to change. Okay, so what I responded to him, which is true, is once there's just a smidge of understanding that deeper esoteric, that deeper spiritual recognition of oneness, or whatever you want to call it, then things are no longer springboards towards that understanding, but rather celebrations of that understanding. So returning, you go, so Keter, right, up here on the Tree of Life, you go up the Tree of Life, and that's your spiritual journey. When you get to Keter, there's nothing that can be said about Keter. The only option, if there's anything to do, is to manifest and come back down, which is, you might interpret as creating your own universe, reincarnation, or creating something. There's many ways to interpret that, and we can't get literal about that right now. But returning, and then when you return from this understanding, everything here is not a thing to help you get there. It's literally a celebration of it. And if you guys want, I'll go into the Upanishads and I'll talk about that. There's a very specific, my favorite thing ever written, probably ever, is it expresses in one of the commentaries on one of the Upanishads, which to me is essentially the Logos. I love the word the Logos, and I use that word very specifically to talk about how reaching the understanding of oneness, that is pointless. And I don't mean it's pointless to go there. I mean, in that understanding, there's pointlessness. It's very important. The point is, because it's pointless, the nonsensical nature of why anything is the Logos. It's a step down from the ultimate oceanic consciousness bliss, the oneness. A step down from that is why anything to begin with anyway, right? The real answer would be like, what thing, right? The what thing, what manifestation? There is no manifestation. But a step down from there is why create anything to begin with? The very question that all the philosophers and the theologians like debate with, like the big questions, that is in fact the Logos itself, which is why it all starts with the Fool. Why is it all starts with the Fool? This, some people are going to say that, this might be a cop-out. And it's like, well, it's a cop-out of the mind, which wants there to be reasoning and all this stuff. So that's Tarot Mysticism for you. Yes. So I also hope that what I'm teaching you guys today will give you some ideas about how you want to use this book. So this book is very much a map. It's a reference guide. For my students, you'll be able to use this as a reference guide to all the advanced work we do in level 1, 2, and 3, but especially level 2. But for my non-students, this will kind of be, speaking of springboards, a springboard into things that you want to do. So this book, again, it's not going to tell you how to read tarot and how to connect with your intuition. There's no spreads in this book. This book gives you the map of tarot as the esoteric map of tarot. Tarot as a map of mystical philosophy. And you take that and you do so many things you could do with it. Many, many things. But like what I just did with the temperance card in that reading, which ended up being a mini lecture, that's the type of stuff you can do with tarot. You do a reading, you look up the correspondences, and then you let them speak to you, and you sit with them and you meditate with them. See, a lot of people, and it's fine because I get it, because I'm also impatient, but a lot of people these days, they pull the card and they want to know, what does this mean? What does this mean? They get the meaning and then it's done. But the deeper work is when you leave the card out there for like 20 minutes, like we just did, and we really sink into it. We really let it speak to us. We study it a little with the mind. We feel into it with the intuition. We didn't do any meditation, but there's a lot to be considered here, especially when you know how everything connects, right? When you're looking at something like here's another example. Okay. Where's the astrology? Here, I'll show you my favorite 2 pages from this guide. Where did they go? Here they are. So the astrological pages. Temperance is right here, right? So if we were to work with temperance and we go here, we see that it's Sagittarius, and we see that Sagittarius is obviously made of 3 decans, like every sign, ruled by Mercury, then the Moon, then Saturn. And the associated minor arcana of temperance is the 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands, and 10 of Wands. So then what you can do is you can take everything that I just said in the past 20, 30 minutes or whatever about temperance, and then see how temperance works its way through the 8, 9, and 10 of Wands. And then they'll give you a whole nother understanding of those 3 cards. Then you go into the court cards, which are Knight of Wands and Queen of Pentacles. And you see how temperance works its way into the Knight of Wands and Queen of Pentacles. And at first you might say, that doesn't make sense. How does that make sense? And it does. And why? I'll give you an example right now. Knight of Wands. How does the Knight of Wands so damn fast? How is he so fast? He's the fastest one, by the way. Knight of Wands is the fastest of the knights because he's fire, right? How is he so fast? Because he's balanced. Where does he get the balance from? Temperance. Temperance is what balances the Knight of Wands. See, it all makes sense. And the cool thing about this is this was not all constructed to be so... It wasn't like a bunch of magicians or occult dudes got together and like put all this together. Yes, we have incidences of those things happening. We have the occult revival with the Golden Dawn, but we also have the earlier French occultists of the 1700s. We have these movements where this has happened, but it wasn't like one thing came together and set this all up. It's been developing for some time. So the beauty of this, the poetry of it, is not so much like, oh, this is the system. It's that the system recurs throughout history, right? The system is recurring. That's why it's called a perennial philosophy. So if you go to the first section of this book, Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, sorry, I have to start saying it more because, you know, gotta make the plug. Okay, so if you go to the first part of this book, you get this perennial philosophy map, and you see how all these traditions are saying the same thing, right? They really are ultimately, from the ground up, they're looking totally different, right? When you look at the ground up, the Taittiriya Upanishad is not, when you at first glance, is not going to look like the Kabbalistic tree of life. It's going to be so different. And it might even seem contradicting at first, but if you keep reading and you really understand it, you'll see the exact same things. They're talking about the exact same things. Same with tarot, same with Jung, Hermeticism. I added Jung here just because he's very popular in our time period. And we've been going through this kind of, which I like, this kind of holistic, psychological, Jungian symbolism chapter of tarot, which is super cool. So I added some of his model, though I don't know if you can ever really pin down his model, but things that you can draw, connections that you can draw to all these other systems. Yeah, it's funny because I always say wormhole, and I started saying that many years ago, but Jung's model is literally a wormhole. Like it literally opens up on one end and opens up on the other end, which is really cool. So yeah, so there's so much here. There's just so much here. So just shameless plug, Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, the physical book, the full book will be available August 22nd, which is this Saturday. If everything goes according to plan, it will be available. And that's going to be on Amazon. I will be emailing you guys the Amazon links on Saturday if you're on my mailing list. If you're not on my mailing list, you can just search Amazon in your local Amazon marketplace and try to find it Saturday. There is a free digital excerpt downloadable version of this, which gives you the first 2 parts of the book, and that's in the link below. So link below will give you a free excerpt, which many of you, if you've followed my work for some time, you probably have already. It's the ebook with the core card meanings and the perennial philosophy, which is really helpful for beginners and even like intermediate advanced readers. I've had people get a lot of value out of just using tarot in this more connected system, which again, this is one manifestation of perennial philosophy. So before I told you guys to write this down in your book, in your tarot notebook. What was it again? It was symbolism in practice has a specific result, but symbolism in mysticism has no particular result outside of celebration of the divine. This is so important, like so important. It's the difference between what I consider to be mental work. A lot of people, for most people, spiritual work is mental work. They're doing things to change their mind about something or other people's minds about something. That's mental work. Spiritual work is beyond the mind. So to me, when you go beyond the mind, all symbolism points to the divine, what you really are, which is consciousness. But when you go steps below that, then the mind can play games with itself. Games like Joe Monteleone wants this to be a bestseller. Joe Monteleone wants to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube so he can get the sexy silver plaque. These are games we play. There's a result, right? And I can say that it's spiritual to manifest those things, and I will manifest those things. I've already manifested those things. They're happening. But that's on the level of the mind. Something like this is also on the level of the mind. This helps you achieve something. What does it help you achieve? Performing a good tarot reading, understanding the 78 cards on a deeper level, on a connected level, especially the core meanings, and then over time, getting more your detailed meanings. So this book has different levels. There's different levels of work we do in this book. Just as there's different levels of work you do in any spiritual tradition, right? When you start the path of yoga, I'm talking about real yoga, the Yoga Sutras, not the yoga studio down the street. No shade. I go to the yoga studio. I've gone to my yoga studio down the street and loved it. It was great. Okay, loved it. Important. Go do something to ground, because if you're subscribed to any of my content, the chances are you probably need grounding. All right, great. Now that we've established that. But even yoga, there's levels to the work. It doesn't start with samadhi. It starts with yama and niyama. It starts with the boring stuff, which is the do's and don'ts and the ethics, right? Tantra starts with the vastu and the deha. Plotinus starts by talking about nature, he has beautiful things to say about nature. Plotinus was he was anti-Gnostic. He was like, no, nature and the world are beautiful, and ultimately he eventually says they're nothing but the one. So he goes there. It all goes there. So there's different levels of work to do. Just like in this book, in the tarot, when you perform a reading, you're doing work down here, which is very helpful and important, sometimes up here. But what I showed you guys before, if you were here for it, when I was teaching about the temperance card and we were going into seeing the symbols of temperance in everything, from the inner alchemy therapy to the morning coffee to the drink you get at the bar at night, like that is inching its way up to this level in the blue. So, which is very fun. But again, the blue is not always going to be practical for every goal, right? The blue really only has one goal. Any goal besides that needs to be dealt with on the inner plane or on the outer plane. So lots of fun stuff. All right, so Mayuki has a great question here. How can we make sure to connect better with our intuition or higher self for a deeper understanding of the cards? Okay. So I'm going to give you two answers. One is going to be easier, something that you can start literally today. And then one is going to be even more powerful, but it will take some time. Okay. This is actually a big question. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this. So the question is, how can we make sure to connect better with our intuition or higher self for a deeper understanding of the cards? Okay, there's going to be two answers. Three answers. First answer. When you perform a reading, you need to set yourself up for success by connecting with that higher self or that intuition. And how do you do that? You have to get yourself in a specific frame of mind. There's many ways to do that. At Tarot Mysticism Academy, we teach something called the fail-safe focus method. It's one of the first things we teach, literally in the first 2 hours of somebody's journey through TMA. They're learning the fail-safe focus method. And the goal of that method, it's a 5-step method to get you in the proper frame of mind to best connect with your intuition and or your higher self. There's many ways to do that, okay? But we teach our own method. You need to find a method that works for you. If you're a student of mine, use a fail-safe focus until you modify it yourself. But if you're not a student of mine, find a method to get yourself in the zone. And what I can tell you is the zone that you want to be in when reading the cards for yourself or for somebody else is one of a lack of attachment and a little bit of enthusiasm. That's what works for me. That's my personal thing. You don't have to have enthusiasm, but I always find that a little bit of enthusiasm, it creates the momentum for the reading, for the search. It's like, we're going to get into this together. There's a fun to it. But you need to have a sense that's detached. When you're detached, you connect with what's called the observer, which is ultimately your true reality, the observer consciousness, right? That consciousness has no limits. So people talk about the Akashic records and they get really fancy with all of that. And I'm down to have the conversation about Akashic records, but to make a whole lecture very simple and short in 2 seconds, the Akashic records is not separate from that which is hearing these words right now, which is consciousness. That which is hearing these words right now, which is consciousness, is and includes your higher self and your intuition. So if you can connect with that which is hearing these words right now, which is consciousness, which includes and transcends your intuition and your higher self, your intuition and your higher self will be there. Okay, so that's the easy route. Okay, so that's number one. Now I'm going to give you a second answer. The second answer is it's a little more challenging. So think about it this way. Here's a metaphor for everyone to write down. Any aspiring tarot reader, if you're a student of mine, this is a metaphor I have not used yet, so you'll want to write this down. It's really helpful. Think of a stained glass window. You walk into this beautiful cathedral. There's light pouring in this beautiful cathedral from the stained glass window. And the stained glass window has 2 colors. Let's say red and blue. The red and blue colors are beating down on the stone floor of this beautiful cathedral, but it's only red and blue. Now, what does this mean? The beating down, the light of red and blue on the floor of the cathedral is the material world and what you can say about it. Okay? So, cathedral, light, pouring down stained glass window, filtering red and blue light from the sun outside. The light on the floor is is the physical world and what you can say about it. The stained glass window, which is only red and blue, is your mind, or what the Vedantic tradition might call reflected consciousness. I think it's called Chitta-bhasa, which is it's your mind, but it can also be your higher self. May also include holy guardian angel if you're on the occult magical path. But let's just call it mind for now. That's your mind, okay? The mind filters the light into red and blue. Beyond the stained glass window is the sun, is light, which is the divine, okay? So we have the divine. On the blue, we have the light of the sun in the blue. The yellow, we have the stained glass window with its 2 colors, and that light pouring on the ground, on the floor, is the material world. If you're a stained glass window and you only have red and blue, you can only filter out the colors red and blue unless somebody breaks you open and the pure light of the sun goes through you. If that happens, well, a couple things can happen. There's spiritual psychosis, but then there's also enlightenment. But that's a whole nother conversation. What I urge you to do to best connect with your higher self and your intuition is to add more colors to your stained glass window. So if you're a stained glass window and you have blue and red, and you take the divine light of the sun and you pour blue and red onto the ground, you can only pour blue and red onto the ground. But if you ready for this? If you only have red and blue, you can only pour red and blue. But if you can pour white light, gray, black, green, orange, purple, and whatever this is at the bottom, you have all these colors you can pour down onto the floor of the cathedral. So you get more colors for your stained glass window. How do you get more colors for the stained glass window? Guess, put in the chat. How do you get more colors for your stained glass window, for your mind, to give more aspects of the light of the divine onto the floor, onto the material world as a tarot reader, guide, intuitive, healer, all the above? Okay, so the answer is by getting the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer this Saturday, August 22nd, et cetera, LOL. This Saturday, it's only going for $35. After that, price is going up. Okay, you just saw my Capricorn there, right? Okay, no, real answer is yes, get the primer, but studying and experiencing and considering. So really, like, like something that I've noticed in myself, well, over my life, but especially now, is over the past few years, is I have this unending tendency to question everything. And when I question everything and I challenge people and I go further, I find more lights appear in my stained glass window in my mind. So I was just at an event that I'll talk about in another video and another live, and I was with a bunch of spiritual content creators, and we were doing all these meditations and this sound. It was very interesting. I was at the Monroe Institute. It was really beautiful. And one of the reasons I had to go there was because I had a blind spot. And my blind spot was with my active imagination and my inner world. It's funny, I talk about the inner world so much, but I have a blind spot there because to me, I value the non-dual understanding. I value mysticism that goes all the way and goes all the way fast. And I value less the inner world that other people tend to value, like the dream and the channeling. Like I have an allergy to channeling. I just find it not interesting. And I'm aware of that. It's my own bias. So I went to this place that was all about channeling and all about the inner world. And doing that allowed me so many experiences to get more colors metaphorically on the stained glass window of my mind. So that now, having those experiences, I can better articulate more aspects of reality to people because I value it, because I've experienced it, than I could before. So to answer your question, I know this is long-winded, but it's important. Besides connecting to your higher self and your intuition, to really grow your intuition, you want to grow wisdom. And to grow wisdom, you have to have experience, and you have to study, and you have to learn, and you just have to ask the big questions and go and figure it out. Like you read the thing in the book, but then you go and do the meditation or find the mentor or join Tarot Mysticism Academy or go somewhere else or go to the person that has the thing that you would like to have, and then follow them. That's how I've gotten really good at a lot of things in life. And the way I've always done it is I find the person that I feel is really good, that can teach me something, and I just follow them. Like I learn as much as I can with them. I get as close to them as I can. And I am neurotically hungry, and I just hyperfixate for anywhere from 2 months to 5 years. And then I get really good at something, right? So that's an answer that's kind of unexpected, right? Because ultimately, you have all the answers within you, and I agree, but the body-mind does not have all the answers within it. The body-mind is filled with cognitive biases and distortions and all sorts of unconscious, subconscious prejudices and judgments. It's filled with those things. So when we add more colors to the metaphorical stained glass window of the mind, we add more things that we can know for ourselves and we can help other people with. So it's a matter of growth. So what we do is, it's almost like in law, for people that are on the more occult or magic path, you actually kind of upgrade your holy guardian angel. Some people are going to find that's totally sacrilegious, but it's true. You kind of upgrade your holy guardian angel. It's like, and then when you upgrade your holy guardian angel, you just access more things, and your intuition becomes something so much broader, right? Yeah, Aleister Crowley talking about the real meanings of the cards will only be known through experience. Yeah, experience is like, I'm at kind of a stage in my life where I don't really have beliefs or even value beliefs, but I have experiences, and then I assess the value of the experience and what it does for me or the people around me or my students, and I go from there. I love that, Antoinette. Me in the corner rearranging the colors on a Rubik's Cube and thinking same for window. Yeah, so Antoinette, your mind is a Rubik's Cube probably, so you got 3 dimensions to work with. I was simple. I used a stained glass window. You got a whole Rubik's Cube, which is probably a way more accurate metaphor for the mind, like this 3-dimensional, always changing thing that only has so many colors, and you got to put all the colors with it. Yes, that's a really fun really fun image. I like that a lot. So, yeah. Let me see. I'm just going to do a quick check on our thing. Okay, cool. I think this is working here. We have this. That's working here. Great. Life is also the teacher with the cards. Absolutely. Life is definitely so here's what I have to say about that. The life experience is like super important, but there's one big asterisk with that. Here's my so take it or leave this, but this is my opinion with that. Life experience is a great teacher and maybe the best teacher. Like obviously experiencing something is going to be more intense and more of a teacher for you than reading something in a book or, you know, going to a teacher or whatever. I totally agree with that. What I've experienced, so I have a mentor I've worked with. Her name's Porum King. She has a book on Amazon called The Little Book for Big Change. I've worked with Porum I started working with her around maybe 2018, 2019. So that's 6, 7, 8 years or so. At least 7 years. And like I would not be anywhere close to where I am now without having her as a mentor. Life experience, yes, but having a mentor or somebody who has been to where you want to go will save you. I can't tell you how much time and energy and money and frustration it will save you. I've told this story before, but I was self-taught in the tarot, in the Kabbalah, in all these esoteric disciplines. I was self-taught for about 10 or 15 years, and then I met my mentor, and my whole life changed when I started working with her. It was like everything accelerated, and I would not be where I am today without that. So life experience is so important, but if you can have a mentor that at least is somewhere where you want to be, that will help you tremendously. And that's one thing. Another thing is tools. So there's a lot of tools so I'll give you an example in what we do at Tarot Mysticism Academy. We have a program called Energy Healing for Tarot Readers in Tarot Mysticism Academy. And we have that program there for many reasons, but one of the reasons is it is the most effective way, and I've studied a lot of stuff, it is the most effective way to help somebody overcome a fear or a subconscious belief holding them back, which everybody has plenty of those, especially now in 2026. We all have there's so much stuff to work on, so many, all that. So, but not only that, it's a somatic practice that's extremely embodied, and it complements all of this airy, swordsy, intellectual study. And we have that. It's not the first program it's a level 2 program, but it's for a lot of people, it's the first level 2 program they do. And it's usually the first level 2 program I recommend, depending on who I'm speaking to and what their goals are. But it's very important because it clears out all the things in your system that have been keeping you in the same place for a long time. And I cannot tell you how many people I've met by going to conferences and book signings and tarot community and personal growth community and just life. I've done a lot of things. I used to do fire spinning. I used to have a dance company. I was momentarily a personal trainer. I used to study music. I did a lot of things. And I can tell you this, so many people in life will stay exactly where they are for years, because they have a limiting belief or a fear or trauma from the past or a past life or whatever. They have something that keeps them exactly where they are. And I see them 5 years later because I did something cool with them, I don't know, whatever. And they're in the exact same place. And I'm not saying that's wrong, because there's no right or wrong in any of this. It's all the dance of the phantom show of time and space. We're all grooving with it. But it is not my preferred way to go about life. The way I want to cultivate my body mind is I want to keep growing to see how far I can go, to see what level of impact I can bring, to see how much peace and happiness I can achieve for myself and help other people do the same. That's how I live my life. I'm not saying you have to live your life that way, but that's how I live my life. And because of that, I have found the mentors, I have found the sources, I have worked my ass off to get to where I am today, and I never thought I'd be able to be doing what I am today, years ago. So, so that brings me to tools and the energy healing process. With everything I've studied, the energy healing process we do at Tarot Mysticism Academy has been, for me, and a lot of my students will agree with this, one of the most effective things that they've done for inner healing and getting themselves to the next step. Because again, I admit I'm a bit of a personal growth junkie, but I'm always wanting to get people to the next step because that's what unlocks the big thing, right? The thing is, everyone has a good idea, right? Everyone wants to become a professional tarot reader and make a tarot deck and write that book and film that movie and write that song and who knows, make 7 figures and do this. Everyone wants to start a YouTube channel. Everybody wants all these things, but nobody actually does. Very few people actually take the action to do these things. And the thing that stops them is almost always some weird inner fear that is an illusion. It's just it's the devil card, right? It's this weird thing or point of view or judgment that they have of themselves or the world or their family or whatever. And it's just this thing that's actually a very big thing. And what happens, as at least in what I've seen, and I've seen this time and time again, when students come to the academy, we do the tarot thing because with all stuff, you got to give people what they want and then you give them what they need. So I give them what they want. I teach people the tarot. They master it. They become amazing at it. And the next thing I do is I teach them how to heal their shit. And then they start healing their shit. And then a month goes by and they're a different person. And then 3 months goes by and they're a different person. And then a year goes by and they're a professional tarot reader, making more money than they ever knew was possible, or helping more people than they ever knew was possible. Or starting their own YouTube channel or podcast or whatever, or having spiritual experience or whatever. There's so many things, relationships getting better. So my next thing is, yes, life experience is helpful, but there are certain tools that if you can learn them sooner than later, will help you accelerate the process like you didn't know was possible. Some tools work slowly and some work very fast. There's no right or wrong to all of them. I've done so many things and I've found use in everything that I've done, all the personal growth work that I've done. But find the tools that actually work for you. And the way to do this is you try something and then in a few months, do it consistently, commit to it. And in a few months, check yourself and see, is my quality of life better, the same, or less than before I started? Very simple. That's what I do with everything, right? I still do something called Shambhavi Mahamudra Kriya every other morning. And I've been doing that for probably a year because it really does make my life better. It makes my body and mind better and more equipped to deal with the things that I'm doing. To me, I think it's a mental exercise. Most people would consider it a spiritual exercise because it's a Kriya. But to me, a lot of yoga, tantra, breath, body stuff, to me, all of that's kind of mental. But in being mental, it's spiritual because it's like refining the instrument to handle and best receive and serve the bigger thing. So I do those things. So so the moral of the story is life is so important. Life will teach you. But if you're in the same place now as you were 5 years ago, find tools or spiritual technology or things that work for you to move you along if you want to move along, if you want life to be better. And growth is different for everyone. So this is not to say everyone has to, have giant ambitions, but I do think everyone has everything that they need. I mean, how many freaking neurons do you have in your brain? I don't even know. But there's the neuroplasticity of the brain, the breath, the body. There's so much the universe has given you to work with, to change your reality. So much. It's to me, it's a waste not to at least put some of your energy in developing the body-mind system that you were gifted, right? I mean, think of all the hungry ghosts that are so jealous of us. We can eat sour Skittles. Sour Skittles, it's great. This body mind is great. And there's so much to make it do even more, even better. Okay, so that's my rant on the life experience thing. Combine life experience with the proper tools and then you'll get all sorts of fun things. Thank you, Catherine. TMA energy work for tarot readers is transformational. Yeah, it's been so fun and it grows every every year we see new things happen. And it's interesting. I learn from watching people use it, and it's so fun. It's so fun. What we're doing regarding energy healing for tarot readers is, well, I'll tell you what we're doing this year, and then I'll talk about energy healing for tarot readers next year. This year, we're doing October, we're starting a directed study period for the Advanced Tarot for level 2. So anyone that wants to learn Kabbalah, astrology, the esoteric side of tarot, a lot of stuff that's in this book. This book is a reference guide for all the deeper work we're going to be doing over the next few months going through the fall. So that's why I've been rushing to get this book out to be published to you guys, Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, which I'm releasing Saturday. If everything goes according to plan, knock on wood, all the things, it will be released on Saturday and available on Amazon. And then we have some level 1 stuff, and then we have level 2, October through November. So Kabbalistic Tarot, Astrological Tarot, and a 2-day intensive in November. And then in 2027... I think we will probably do an energy healing for tarot readers at the end of January. I think. Last year we started with energy healing for tarot readers in January, and it was a great way to start the year because we had everyone come in, heal a bunch of stuff, get to that neutral place, and then from that neutral place, dive into the tarot or esotericism or professional development and kind of go even faster. So it's a really good place to start for a lot of people. And for people who have done it, it's a great place for them to redo it and to kind of reset. So I'm thinking we might do that, but I'm not sure. I have some other ideas floating around. I have to ask the students. The time for the book ordering release on Saturday. So I think it should be available like in the morning, like just the day of. I think I'm going to send an email out on Saturday morning. First, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wake up in the morning. Well, I'm going to wait till midnight, check to make sure it's working. If it's not working, I might freak out, reach out to Amazon and be like, what's going on? So that might happen. But if that doesn't happen, morning of Saturday, I'll make sure the links are working. And then I'm going to email you guys a link to my general web page for this book. And that page will have all the Amazon links. So you'll see Amazon US, Amazon UK, Amazon whatever, Switzerland. There's like 13 of them. If your Amazon Marketplace is not listed in those links, Ryan's actually going to set those links up for us because he's our website wizard and beyond amazing facilitator, among many other hats that he wears. So many hats. The team is amazing. They all wear so many hats. What is it? What was I saying? So Ryan's going to put all the links on the page for everyone to find their local Amazon Marketplace link. If your link is not there, just go to Amazon.com and search for Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, I'll email you like a maniac and I'll let you know and I'll keep you updated on when it does work. So I'm kind of winging this. This process has been so different, like self-publishing, because I've never done it before. And there's a lot of things in the Amazon publishing process that really don't make sense that you would think make sense because they're a giant corporation. ... But they don't. So we'll find out. Yes, it should be an international release. Yes, everything is set up according to what they're telling me and according to what it says. It will be an international release this Saturday for hopefully everywhere, but anywhere that has an Amazon delivery thing, right? There's like 13 specific links that I have. There may be more. So just search your Amazon and see if it's there. Hopefully it'll show up. But again, if not, we'll keep you updated throughout the process. Yeah. Okay. I think it will be available in India. Yes. I just don't know which Amazon link will work for that. But if you've ordered from Amazon before, I know not everybody likes to, which is totally fine. I totally get that. But if you've ordered from Amazon before successfully, you will be able to order this book from Amazon. Yeah, it's J Coco. There's been good in the process. There's been a lot of good in the process. It's more like I've had some really sudden late frustrations that have been like just a lot of people telling me like contradicting information and like it's. But I'm also neurotic, Oh, perfect. Alchemy, that's great. That's so good to hear. Yeah, this book is going to be a condensed, like, what I'm going to do on Saturday, when I go live on Saturday for the launch event, I'm going to go through the whole book and show you guys exactly what's in it. But this is like a condensed version. So it has some material from the Esoteric Tarot Guide. It has some material from Tarot and Astrology. It has some material from level 3 and then in non-duality, and then it has the core card meanings in the front. So it kind of gives a little bit of each level to use as a reference guide. So pricing on Saturday, my plan is for on Saturday when it's available, it's only going to be $35. After Saturday or shortly after Saturday, it's going to go up. I don't know what it's going to go up to because what I have it set as now is $35 on Saturday. This is for individual purchases. The way Amazon works is if you sell your book to bulk buyers like store owners and such, they actually take more of a percentage, so you have to increase the price. So for the first day or two Saturday, it's going to be $35, and then it's just going to go up from there. I think Amazon should. I know it sends to Europe, Denmark specifically. I would be surprised if it didn't. This book uses the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. However, most of this book, not all of it, but the large majority of this book, you can apply the knowledge to Thoth. The way I teach tarot, especially in this book, is I teach the core structure of the tarot. I teach symbolism too, but in this book, this is like the skeleton of the tarot. So if you study this book, any deck that is based on Rider-Waite-Smith or Thoth, you can apply the information to. The only difference is, there's a couple small differences, which I can share with you, is you're going to have to switch the associations of the Emperor, some associations of the Emperor and the Star. That's really it. There's something with the court cards too, but actually for my Thoth readers, the way I have the court cards set up here, I actually have the Thoth symbolism here. So if you're a Rider-Waite-Smith reader, just know that the prince here is the king and the knight here is the knight. So knights are knights, princes are kings. That's how I structure it. But this is actually the Thoth system here, which is more aligned with Kabbalistic tarot. Oh, thank you so much, Angelic Clairvoyant. I don't know why I can never read people's names during lives, but I just can't. This book looks. Thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. It means a lot. All right. So, any other tarot questions? I'll do one or two more tarot questions, and then I'll wrap up with one or two more readings, and then we'll wrap up for today. Thank you all again for those who have sorry for the delay with the live. I don't know why the YouTube live didn't work the first time. We'll figure it out. Ayushi, do we really need to use our logical minds while we are doing readings, or do you usually go up with your intuition only? Oh, that's a good question. Oh, thank you, Patty. It's a full college course in tarot. Love this. It's absolutely stunning, Joe. Thank you so much, Patty. It's definitely a condensed many, many years of research and systemization coming together. So PDF, I'm going to come back to you, Ayushi. PDF of this book, I'm not planning as of now to create a PDF version of this book. This book, as of now, the full book will only be in physical version to order Saturday. Okay, let's go to Ayushi. Do we really need to use our logical mind while we are doing readings, or you usually go up with your intuition only? This is an important question, and it's going to lead into a few different places. So I'm going to explain this Kabbalistically, actually, so you can see the actual model of the relationship between the mind and the intuition. So I'm going to pull to the first section of the Perennial Philosophy here, and we're going to look at this together. So to answer that question, this is a very important question, and a lot of people have one answer, but I want to give you the full answer as opposed to one simple answer. The common answer is, oh, just trust your intuition and everything will be fine. That is true, but that kind of oversimplifies the intuition. The intuition is so much more than just use your intuition and kind of wing it. There's a lot going on here. So first we have to define what the mind is, and we have to define what the intuition is. I'm going to give you two potential definitions to get you started, because these two things are very, very, very difficult to define, but just so we have a starting place. So what is mind? Mind is the space in which sensations that are more subtle than the physical body exist, okay? So mind equals that space in our experience that houses the subtle sensations that are subtler than bodily sensations. What do I mean by subtle sensations, subtler than body sensations? I mean thoughts. The mind is the place where thoughts happen, okay? Very simple. Mind equals space for thoughts. Actually, here's a better definition of mind. The mind is an abstraction we project onto the experience of thought, okay? That's good for our purposes. So mind is the abstraction that we project onto our experience of thought. Okay. Intuition is the space that includes the space of the mind and includes the space of the body, and may include the space of other things as well that I won't talk about right now. But let's define intuition as intuition is the space of experience that can include the space of the mind and include the space of the body and include even something beyond the mind and the body, which I would argue doesn't exist, but for most conventional discussions of this matter, that's where your supernatural experiences are, your inner world, dream, subtle body would exist. Though to me, that's all mind, but anyway. So now I'm going to give you some basic Kabbalistic psychology to answer this question. There is, I'm going to just use the English words for this, just to keep it simple. There's the physical body in the green, the mind, or the ego in the yellow, and the intuition in the blue. So green has the physical body, yellow has the mind and ego and thought, blue has the intuition. So you can write these down when you get the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer. Okay. Now, each of these levels contains everything under it. So the blue here, which is the intuition, contains both the mind, which is the space where we experience thoughts, and the green, which is the space where we experience bodily sensations and the body. So the intuition contains both. The mind only contains the body. The mind does not contain the intuition. The intuition contains the mind. So, to simplify all of this, we can, hopefully, our goal should be that the mind is a servant of the intuition. So I'll tell you what tends to happen when we're reading the tarot. When we go to our intuition, we are using the body and the mind. We are using the body and the mind. It's not like we're using our intuition and not our logical body and mind. The logical mind and the body are part of the intuition. So I would argue that it is most likely, in most cases, not possible to use your intuition without using some aspect of your mind, because your mind is included within it. Now, I'm going to reference an amazing thinker that I always forget his name. He wrote the big book, The Secret Teachings of All the Ages. Somebody will put it in the chat. I always forget his name. Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall describes the intuition as an inner coordinator that coordinates all sensations and thoughts essentially faster than your conscious mind can catch up to it. That's your intuition. So to answer your question, do we need to use the logical mind in tarot reading, or can we go all the way to the intuition? You can go all the way to the intuition. And in fact, I encourage you going all the way to the intuition, but don't pretend that the intuition does not also include aspects of the logical mind. It does include aspects of the logical mind. You're just not consciously aware of it. And this is why I always tell people to stretch their minds, because if their minds are rigid in one specific way and not malleable, then the intuition won't have as much to work with. So they're like, people, when I read for somebody, they often will tell me, oh, Joe, this is like, I have never had a reading like this. This is so deep. This has gone so far. Like, you've pulled one card and talked 10 minutes about all these different things. And that's because I've taken my mind and I've expanded it over the years, despite all the neuroses that lies within. I expanded it over the years into all this stuff. So this is a big misconception. A lot of people on the basic level, I would say, don't worry about the mind, trust your intuition in the beginning. So I would say that, yes, trust your intuition in the beginning. And that's actually, in the Tarot Mysticism Academy, one of the first things I teach my students is something called the fail-safe focus method. I talked about this earlier, but if you just came here, this is a method that helps you bypass, quote unquote, bypass, not really, but bypass the logical mind that can often get in the way of the intuition and connect with the intuition. So this is a very important step. And a lot of tarot books and a lot of teachers will tell you to do this. They will say, don't worry about your mind. Don't worry about what you're thinking. Don't overthink it. Just go to your intuition. And I agree with them in the beginning. In the beginning, I agree with them. But here is the problem. And this is what I help a lot of my students with. Once you get to the point where you've trusted your intuition and you're pulling cards and you're giving great intuitive readings, that's a big success, right? I've seen students in Tarot Mysticism Academy, at the most, if they're coming to classes regularly, they'll get there in 6 months or less. I've seen people get there on their first class with TMA. Like they're using the fail-safe focus method, they're trusting their intuition, and they give like a jaw-dropping, amazing reading. So that's the easy part. I can get somebody there like if I'm working with somebody one-on-one or even in a class, I can probably get them there. Our facilitators can probably get them there in a couple hours. So that's the easy part, which is don't worry about the mind, trust your intuition, and do the reading. It takes courage from the student, but if they have the courage and they have the discipline to show up and do it, they will achieve that. But that's not the end. You guys know I'm a Capricorn. I have a lot of ambition. So once you get to that point, you can be an intuitive reader and you can be quite good. But what I'm interested in, and through Tarot Mysticism, through the Tarot Mysticism Primer, through Tarot Mysticism Academy, through everything that I do, I am interested in helping people become life-changing readers, consultants, guides, and healers. Like I want my readers to not just give impressive intuitive readings, I want them to change people's lives. And they've done that. I've seen them do that. I just heard not too long ago, I had somebody in my mastermind, brilliant. She learned the energy healing that we teach at Tarot Mysticism Academy. She was working with a student. She was working with a client. The client was going to commit suicide. And my student used this energy healing and it saved her life. And this isn't the first time that the energy work that I've taught has saved people's lives. So I want my readers to change people's lives, save people's lives, all the above, have a bigger impact. How does that happen? How can we grow as spiritual tarot readers, energy healers, guides, authorities? How can we actually help people genuinely change their life and help them achieve greater levels of peace, minimize their suffering, all of that? That takes an expansion of our own minds. Because whenever you study any kind of personal growth, and especially if you study mysticism, your mind has to expand. When you grow, you become a different person, right? People will sometimes say, oh, I don't want to change myself. I'm like, okay, don't change yourself. Stay the same person that you are now and be the same person 5 years later. That's fine with me. But just know you're going to be the same person 5 years later. We're always changing ourselves, right? We're always expanding if we choose to. So we have to expand the mind to consider other possibilities and grow. If we're only using our intuition, which includes the mind and the body, and we're not expanding the mind, the intuition only has the mind and the body to work with. There's a spiritual element to this as well, but here's the problem, and I'm going to use the metaphor I used before. The mind is like a stained glass window that has only so many colors. If your mind only has so many colors, the spiritual light that goes through the stained glass window will only be able to express itself in so many colors. So you have to add more colors to your mind to better fully express the divine. It's not to say that you're not divine. Everybody is divine. Everyone here right now in this moment is nothing separate from the singular, unending light of consciousness. That is just what it is. And don't believe me because I said it. Go investigate it for yourself. Find a spiritual teacher, look at my content, read the Upanishads, like investigate the hell out of this. Don't believe it because I just said it. Really, go and ask these questions. But from my understanding, there's nothing separate from this infinite moment right now, which is consciousness. That said, the body and the mind have definite limitations. They have definite limitations. And the only way to better express the divine is to grow and expand the mind-body system. And to do that, there is a level, there is an investment of mental growth, which is study, which is the logical mind. So do you need like the logical mind to read tarot? No. But do you need the logical mind to expand, to serve the intuition and the divine, to become an amazing teacher or tarot reader, or to have a huge impact on the world? Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we do in the Academy, we don't teach all this just because it's fun and fancy. It is fun and fancy and very, very deep. But when you study this type of stuff, it expands your understanding of reality. And what happens is, as the mind expands, because people say expanding consciousness. Consciousness doesn't expand. Consciousness has no limits. But the mind can expand in terms of what it can possibly conceive of, what it can consider, what it can think about. It's kind of like this little, how do I describe it? The mind, you can think of the mind as like somebody that's just trying to catch up to God, but will never quite catch up to God. And the mystical experience is when the mind finally lets go of itself and realizes it's nothing but God, but then it's not a mind anymore, right? When we're reading tarot and when we're doing this work, we're working with the mind. So if we're working with the mind, we have to admit that it's there. If it's there, we have to assess it and see what it's doing for us or how it's working against us. And for a lot of people, especially in the tarot spiritual community, life in general, their minds are working against them. I'm reading a fiction book right now, and this fiction book, it's called Mistborn. If you're a Mistborn fan, let me know. I never read fiction, ever. Like, I literally never have time to read fiction, because in my time off, what do? I read spiritual books, because that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I'm always trying to stretch my mind, right? I was reading this really good book by an atheist, and I'm taking a little pause to read some fiction, because I haven't read any fiction in years, and I'm kind of doing a little chill now that this book is ready to be published. So I'm reading this book called Mistborn, and this book, Mistborn, it is it's like all the books these days, which are all dystopian, political, like fascist government, like all the books, and it makes sense. So I'm reading this book and I'm like, why do I like this book? Like, what is the actual value? Because in my thing, I'm always like, how is this expanding my mind? And I realized, as I'm reading this book and as I'm thinking about all of the dystopian, the fascist stories that have come out in fiction over the years, like every book is about like authoritarian tyranny and the downtrodden, and every book is the same thing. The downtrodden finds something in themselves that's powerful, and they grow, and then they, destroy the tyranny. It's all 10 of Wands, Lord of Oppression. Okay. So I'm reading this book and I'm like, and I realized something so amazing. I'm reading this book, I'm like, wow. The reason why this exists is not just because of the tyrannies of the world. It's actually because of the tyrannies in everybody's psyche. Most people's psyche, everyone's psyche, has its own politics. It has its own parts, right? Parts theory and internal family systems is very popular therapeutic modality. Every psyche is its own political battle, and there's a tyranny. And that tyranny is stopping aspects of yourself from coming out. I know a thing or two about coming out, right? But a lot of my students as well, I call us the mystical misfits because a lot of the journey, the spiritual journey in the tarot world, at least in my world, is a world of really seeing who you are on a personal level, accepting it, integrating it, and then bringing it into the world. And for a lot of people, that there's a part of them that was judged or shunned in this lifetime or another lifetime. There's a relationship to neurodiversity. There's a relationship to being on the margins of society in one way or another. There's a relationship to religious trauma. This conversation goes in a lot of different directions, but the pattern is the same. The pattern is there's a downtrodden part of you in your mind that you've suppressed. For a lot of people, I'm not saying this is you, but this is what I've experienced in myself and a lot of people. There's a downtrodden part of you in your mind that has been suppressed by another aspect, another tyrannical aspect of you. And when you let that part rise up, there's this whole delightful, juicy fiction, this whole story of coming into who you really are. That process is expanding your mind, right? So if we don't go into the mind to do that, that part of us will never be fully, blossomed and fully grown and helpful to the world, So there's different ways to do that. There's therapeutic methods, there's energetic methods, there's spiritual methods and sadhana and yoga. And what I teach here is a method of that for mystical misfits they really like because it's kind of brainy, it's intellectual, it's tarot, obviously. But this shows you all the different parts of yourself, right? The Sephirot on the Tree of Life, the planets in astrology. Let me pull it up for you here. The Tarot on the Tree of Life, the Sephirot, the Jungian archetypes, the astrology, the Plotinus, the Tantra, all these things, they show different stages of development and different parts of yourself. And so when you start to shed light on these parts of yourself, you realize that you are so much more than you thought. And then the integration begins. Tarot reading is only one small practice amidst this process. And it's for a lot of my students and for a lot of people, it's the first practice they start. It's the first thing. So to answer your question, can we go right to the intuition? Do we have to use the logical mind? Yes, you can go right to the intuition, but the intuition includes the mind, and the mind is an instrument to be expanded into all of these areas to grow. Brandon Sanderson, yeah. Yeah, I just started that book a couple days ago. Okay, here's a good question now. Which card would you associate with that process of expanding the mind? The truth is all of the cards. All of the cards show different stages and subtle experiences in that process. There's not every card can show that. But here, now, actually, this is very important. So take your notebooks out for this because this is a really good way you guys can use, one of the many good ways you can use this book. Okay. So you're asking the question, which card would represent this expanding of mind that I'm talking about? And my answer is all the cards. Why is that? When you go to study the core meanings of the cards, ace through 10 right here, let's start with just the ace through 10. Ace through 10, as a lot of you may know already, shows a creative process or a journey. That creative process, that journey is one of expansion. But here's the thing. It's not balanced and harmonized all the time. In fact, it is radically imbalanced. There's a dynamic balancing act that's happening as you go from ace to 10. So let's actually look at the wands for a moment to show you you guys probably know these images. Ace of Wands to 10 of Wands. You'll see how in the ace 2, 3, 4 of Wands, something is started, something begins, and it stabilizes in the 4. In the 5, it's disrupted. It's imbalanced. There's conflict. In the 6, there's harmony. There's a success. In the 7, there's more conflict. In the 8, you overcome the conflict. In the 9, there's a little bit more conflict. And in the 10, it's overweight. There's too much. There's a burden. But then you go into the Suit of Cups, and you go through that journey, and there's another dance of balance to imbalance. And then you do the same with the Suit of Swords, balance to imbalance. and then the suit of pentacles balance it in balance. So there's always this dance between extremes, which is ultimately the dance between the tree of life and all dualistic thinking that is inherent in the subject-object relationship that we have right now. The fact that you can hear my voice as an object, but you as the subject are listening, if you have the subject-object experience, which you hopefully do because you're alive, then you have signed up for this video game, this phantom show of time and space called life. And in that phantom show of time and space, in this game that you just signed up for, in your avatar, in this video game, there's balance and imbalance, and you move through it. So no one card expresses the growth of the mind. Some will obviously do so, but in general, every card expresses this balance and imbalance growth, and it's all expressed through all these symbols in the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, which should be available this Saturday, August 22nd on Amazon. And yeah. Oh, another thing that I keep forgetting is if you order Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer on Saturday, and you come to my YouTube live on Saturday, you will enter into a chance to win a free course at Tarot Mysticism Academy. We're going to have 2 winners. We're going to have one winner, I think, in the middle of the live and one winner at the end of the live. So the conditions to enter is you have to order the book on Saturday, August 22nd on Amazon. Then come to the live, comment that you're in the live, and then I will randomly select 2 people to receive a free course at Tarot Mysticism Academy this Saturday. Yeah. Oh my God, you know what's interesting? I just said that, Cindy, and I didn't see your comment asking about that. So yes, we are. We're giving away to 2 lucky people a free course at TMA this Saturday. So you'll have to come to my YouTube live this Saturday. You'll have to buy the book on August 22nd, which it should be available on August 22nd. If it's not, we'll let you know, but it should be available for purchase August 22nd. And then come to the live and then tell me that you're at the live in the chat. And then I'll let you know during the live when we have the 2 giveaways. Yes. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. It's going to be a fun one. Yes, purchase links. Oh, thank you, Ryan. You're the best. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan is one of the amazing people on my team. He's a website wizard and a facilitator, an amazing tarot teacher, amazing web. We have a whole lovely team of people. Daniela, okay, thank you. Okay, so I think it's more than, there was somebody before who was saying, I think Cindy was telling me to drink more water. Every time I do a live, somebody tells me to drink more water. And I always wonder if it's the same person or if it's just different people. But I guess it's different people. That's funny. Yeah, it should be available in like anywhere where you can order Amazon from. So if you've ordered from Amazon, no judgment if you have, and I totally understand if you haven't ordered from Amazon. That's great. That's totally cool. Support you on that. But if you've ordered on Amazon before, it will. It's you. Oh, okay. Thank you for. You have to come to all my lives now to remind me. That's your job now. I love it. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. All right. Oh my God, I want the book. I will wait until Saturday. This is a practice in patience for me. Yeah, me too. I actually tried to open up the page to let people just start buying it, but they told me that because it was 5 days before the launch day, the release day, I couldn't change anything. And now I'm just afraid to touch anything because every time I touch one thing, it's like a whole big thing. Again, technology, me and technology, we're not the best. There's things I'm very, very good at. I'm blessed to be very good at the things that I hyperfixate on, but there's a lot of things in life I'm just not good at, and technology is not one of them. It's a miracle I've gotten this far with these two. It's a miracle Tarot Mysticism Academy exists. Ryan handles the website now, and Deb does a lot of the CRM stuff, and the whole team does a bunch of different things now. So they are keeping that alive, and it is what it is now because of them. But before I had the team, it was a miracle that it even happened. I don't even know how it happened. But But yeah, it takes me like way, way longer to figure tech things out than most people. Thank you so much, Scorpster. Yeah, the mind is a very important thing to distinguish. It's a very important thing to distinguish for several reasons. First of all, the mind for most people is a source of a lot of their suffering. There's many ways people suffer, but for a lot of people, if like I'm very privileged and a lot of people are very privileged to where most of their suffering is only in their mind. Like that is an amazing place to be, by the way. So if all of your suffering is in your own mind, that's pretty awesome. Not a lot of people have suffering beyond their mind, in their physical body, in their shelter, in their food, and they don't even have the privilege to worry about their psychological suffering. So that's one thing to consider. But it is a universal source of suffering. But when we can see it for what the mind is, the liberating moment is seeing how limited the mind is in relationship to being itself, in relationship to consciousness. Actually, I'm going to pull up from the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer that's going to be released this Saturday, August 22nd on Amazon. I'll show you the exact place that I talk about this mind versus consciousness relationship. This is very, very important. And another reason why this is important is because a lot of spiritual work focuses on the mind and ends with the mind. It doesn't go beyond the mind. And that is good up to a point. In fact, most people need to do that work. I know I've been doing that work. I still do that. I still do work on my mind. Like every day I do a Kriya or I do a meditation or just in day-to-day life, there's a lot of work to be done on the mind to maintain it in a way that is helpful to what you want to achieve. Just like, you maintain a garden, like you have to water it and I don't know the first thing about gardening, but I imagine you have to water it and take care of it and all those things. So here we go, right here. So in section 5 of the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, I talk about non-duality. Now, the non-duality that I am discussing here I don't mean the non-duality, the poetic reconciliation of light and darkness or up and down, though those are included. I'm talking about the non-dual realization, the direct experience of the possibility that there is nowhere where you begin and end, that there is no definition or limitation to what you really are as consciousness, as the divine. This is a very big and bold claim, and it's not something you should just believe because I tell you. It's something that you should interrogate. But when you interrogate it, this is what you will eventually find. If you really go down this rabbit hole and really interrogate the hell out of this, you will find that there is nothing that proves that you are a limited entity, and so that it is at least possible that you are unlimited. And then eventually you may discover that it is probable, and you may discover that it is absolute, that is an absolute truth. I used to believe this to be true because all the mystics and all the sages say it is true. So when you have thousands of years of literature from cultures that didn't even talk to each other until a certain amount of time saying the exact same thing, it may start to tell you something. But I'm in a much more critical phase of my journey right now. Like I'm really ripping everything to shreds. Almost like with the scalpel of the atheist almost. But anyway, every spiritual path, every real spiritual path will lead you to the edges of the mind, meaning that eventually, and not in the beginning, but eventually, you will start to look at what the mind exists in as opposed to what's in the contents of the mind. I'm going to give you an example. So in the Tarot Mysticism Academy, we study things like Qabalah and astrology. And on top of using those systems in divination, you can use those systems in meditation. One specific technique is called pathworking, where you go into the card or you go into the sephira or you go into the symbol and you connect to your own subconscious or superconscious or higher self, and you learn something, you gain insight from your own subconscious mind. This is very, very helpful for many reasons. A very, very quick example. We haven't done this in a while. So for those of you, for my students that are here, we're going to be doing it in November when we have the Advanced Tarot 2-day intensive. So we have a study period, October, November on Advanced Tarot. And then when we do the 2-day intensive in Advanced Tarot, we're going to do some path working. By the way, if you're not a student of Tarot Mysticism Academy and you want to do this deeper work, this advanced work, you need to join soon because you have to have the prerequisites of level 1. So you won't be able to do the level 2 without the level 1. And if you join too late, you won't have time to catch up with the level 1 coursework and events to prepare you for the level 2. So if you want to join us for Advanced Tarot and you're not a Tarot Mysticism Academy student, make sure to go to tarotmysticismacademy.com/curriculum and schedule a call with me and we'll chat and possibly you'll be able to enroll. Which I should put in the chat. So I'll do that here. Is this it? Yeah. So here's the link for that for the school. It's also the link if you're looking at me on Instagram, it's the link in my bio. Click the link in my bio and then click curriculum or something and it'll give you all the information about the curriculum and then it should give you a button to apply and schedule a call with me. Okay. So we're not going to be able to bring you in on level 2 like 3 weeks before we do level 2 stuff. There's just too much you have to learn first to get there. So if you want to do level 2 with me this year, apply, get your interview in, and you might be able to go through level 1 in preparation for this fall. This fall is going to be so cool. I have a lot of students that have been with me for a long time, several years, but even the students that have just been with me for like 6 months or more, like this is the moment I've been so excited to bring you guys to. And I think a lot of people are ready for this. I could just feel it. Like all of this deeper knowledge. So a lot of students really have been going for it this year, like really studying, really like taking things apart, really doing the work, and they're ready for it. So it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. Like, and every time we do, which we don't do often pathworking, but when we do it, students have so many amazing experiences. So let me go back to the mind and then we'll go to consciousness. So the difference between mind and consciousness and how important this is. Okay. So we know that basic tarot 101 is that what suit is corresponds to the mind. Put in the chat if you know. If you've said the suit of swords, you are correct. Suit of swords corresponds to the mind. And the common symbol I always use to teach this is that the sword, like the mind, cuts things in half. It creates a duality by literally cleaving things in half. Okay, so when we do inner work and we work with the mind, we are working in a dualistic mode. The dualistic mode is that of subject and object. This is a very big point in a lot of mystical literature, the subject-object relationship that eventually ceases. But while we have a mind, and Ace of Swords right here, there is a subject-object relationship. And I would go as far as to say it is the subject-object relationship that allows us to project even the idea of a mind onto what we experience. Because ultimately, what you eventually find is there's never been a subject-object relationship. But in conventional day-to-day experience, there absolutely is. Okay, so when we do this inner work and work with the mind, there's 2 ways I found to do this effectively. One is super effective, one is a little bit longer. The most effective way is, ironically, a somatic practice that I teach in Tarot Mysticism Academy called Energy Healing for Tarot Readers, where I teach people to go into their body and shift energies around. That is the most effective thing that I've found to get you to overcome your fears, your limiting beliefs, all that stuff. So that, I can talk about that forever. But let's talk about more of the mental side. So the mental side is on top of reading the tarot, which is a great practice, which all of our students who come to classes regularly, when they do all the work, they will master reading the cards. They'll become amazing. That's the easy part. The somewhat trickier part, but also in some ways more interesting, but to certain people, is the inner work with the tarot, which is where you go into the tarot that exists within you through your own subconscious mind. There's a way I prime students for this. In the Tarot Divination course and the Thoth Deck for Divination course, one of the many things you do is you go through a journal process. On top of all the lectures and things that you learn, you also go through a separate journal process to encounter the energy of the cards within you as they already exist. That primes you for the advanced work we do in level 2 which sometimes is called pathworking, where we will travel up the tree of life, or even maybe through the signs of the zodiac, and experience these inner parts of ourselves and inner parts of the collective unconscious. When people do that, they are using their own minds as a sort of funnel for the collective, something bigger. So I'll show you in the Jungian model what that looks like. So in the Jungian model, we have the ego right at the center of the yellow. We have the shadow, the persona, and the anima or the animas. These are the without going all into crazy, these are just different aspects of the mind. When we go into the mind as a funnel for the collective unconscious, we can encounter these different parts of ourselves. But if we go even beyond that, we can start to encounter the archetypes themselves. Big conversation there. I'm not even going to start with that, but that's the Jungian model. In the Kabbalistic model, we begin to traverse into our ego in Tiferet, and then we go up even higher into the supernals, right? So we travel up the tree of life in our path working, and we experience these inner aspects of ourselves which give us insight. It's almost like getting a tarot reading from yourself, but from your deep unconscious. So it doesn't feel like getting a tarot reading from yourself, or it doesn't feel like you're talking to yourself. It feels like you're talking to all the beings that can arise within you, which is and what can this do? It can give you insight that your conscious mind can't figure out on its own. So I had somebody ask earlier, if you're still here, this is going to be really helpful for you. They asked, do we have to use the logical mind, or can we go right to the intuition? I would say that in this process of this inner work, you do kind of go to your intuition, but it includes your logical mind, but it includes all of yourself well, as much of yourself as you're supposed to engage with at that time. So you engage with the figures if you're traveling up the tree of life, you're going through the tarot, and they give you insight. I had a woman maybe a year ago when we did pathworking, and she had gone through a lot of change. I believe her husband had recently passed away, and she was kind of finding what she was doing next with life. And she kind of wanted to write a book, but she didn't know exactly how to start it. And we did the pathworking, and by the end of the pathworking, she knew exactly what to do with the book. She was so excited and so enthusiastic, like it was all there. So it's really good to kind of find out your next steps. And it's really interesting to see the different parts of you that may be helping you or hindering you in achieving what you want in this life. So as I said before, most of the work that I do, I really want to help people achieve more peace, become more themselves, and grow to whoever they really want to be. And this is a great method for that. Now, coming back to my original discussion on the relationship between mind and consciousness. So this work that I just described, this inner work, to put a broad term on it, it can do a lot of good in achieving things in your personal life, in the sense of achieving what you want with your relationships, your family, what you want with your finances, what you want with your career, because it develops a level of cohesion in you over time, where you start to accept and integrate all these parts of yourselves. It's very, very important, and I think most people are on some type of journey like that. Because if we don't do that inner work, what happens? It manifests externally in our circumstances, and our subconscious will force us to deal with it. And when the subconscious forces us to deal with something that we haven't been dealing with consciously, that can end up being, for me, it was oftentimes car accidents, but it could be bad relationships. It could be all sorts of things happen, and you're like, what is going on with my life? And then you start listening to yourself. So this is the journey a lot of people have to go on, is the journey of trusting their intuition. And if they don't trust their intuition, if they don't go into the inner world, whether it's through tarot or active imagination or dream or therapy or energy work or creative writing or whatever, if they don't go into their inner work, the subconscious will find a way to leak it out into their manifest experiences. Exactly. It's not pretty. It is not pretty, but it is useful. It is useful. And I just recently met, his name was Joe McGonigal, and he's one of the world's biggest remote viewers. And he's like amazing. He was part of Project Stargate when the government had the program and getting like the military to practice psychic spying and remote viewing to spy on Russia. So he was part of that program. And I met him recently, and he, you know, he's a great remote viewer. He's done all this remote viewing. He's been tested. He's been on TV. And he told us the most interesting thing. He said to all of us, he said, what you may eventually realize is that everything is your fault. And I was like, whoa. And this is exactly what my mentor teaches me. She says, everything has a benefit, everything you've created. It's not something that I totally agree with on all levels, but it was really cool to hear him say it. And to me, that's because if you don't deal with something that's happening in your own subconscious, if you don't deal with the political uproar of your own psyche, that political uproar will manifest itself in the external for you to deal with. And then you'll be forced to deal with it. And usually that takes longer and is much more difficult. So everything I'm talking about right now is mind. And the two ways at Tarot Mysticism Academy we support people with this dealing with the inner world, besides tarot reading, right? Tarot reading, obviously, that's one way, but that's only one way. And it's not, it can be very deep. It absolutely can be very deep. But the two deeper ways is the second way we do it is through the energy healing work, which I find to be the fastest way. And then the study of these esoteric disciplines and or their application in meditation and inner work. So that's how we support the mind in its growth and development. Now, everything I just said was mind. That's a lot of stuff to do with the mind. So we can spend years and years and years doing that work. But there's one other level of work that is my personal favorite. And it deals with consciousness itself. And we have to make a very specific distinction between mind and consciousness. And this, I don't remember where I first learned about this. I think it was in either one of the Upanishads or the commentary on the Upanishads. No, it was in the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. That's what it was. Yeah. Because I knew that Tiferet is generally mind, right? So let's go to our Kabbalistic Tree of Life here. So Tiferet here is mind. This is the ego. This is the regular local consciousness, but ultimate consciousness is Keter, is the crown. Why is it the crown? Because the crown sits on top of the head, whereas the head is mind. What's on top of the head is the crown, which is that which is beyond the mind, or what you could call supra-rational, beyond the rational. Okay. So the good news here is even though we have a lot of work to do with the mind that I believe everyone should be doing, and whether that's therapy or tarot or energy work or working out or whatever it is your practice, I think most people have to be doing something with their mind to keep it at a neutral place, because otherwise, if you don't take care of something, it falls apart. So you got to do something to take care of your mind. But the good news is there's a bit of a shortcut. And the shortcut is in what's called the direct path. And the direct path, which is talked about in books like the Upanishads and maybe the Tao Te Ching, and to some extent the Corpus Hermeticum, the Hermetic tradition. But Upanishads and Vedanta is one of the bigger ones. This path goes right beyond the mind, right to truth, right to divine, right to the ultimate, the absolute. And once that happens, then there's no going back. There's a going, you come back, but there's no, you'll never be the same. And then you build from that place back into your life. You go to that direct, some might call it a mystical experience, but even a lot of mystical experiences can be mental. You go to that understanding, and then for a split second, you're outside of time. There's no time, and it's just eternal borderlessness. And then you realize that nothing changes, nothing dies, nothing real dies, nothing real is ever affected or threatened, or there's not even any motion ultimately. It's this infinite stillness, this infinite peace. So you experience that directly. not in a subject-object relationship, but in the absence of how you normally experience something. And then you return to the mind, and you have a choice where you can begin to build your life and your mind, build it up again from that understanding, and things start to change. So what I just described now is not something, well, in a way it happens like that, but it might also not happen like that. And there's many mystics and sages have talked about different ways to get there. What I have done in this book, in the Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer, is I've given a very brief introduction to 3 traditions that support you in this direct path, in this understanding. And it's the simple, exactly, like Adyashanti, Rupert Spira, Francis Lucille, and then the 3, I always forget the details and the names because I guess my mind's just all over the place. Nisargadatta Maharaj, I always forget the other one. Ramana Maharshi, and then there was a third one that was in the past 100 years or so that kind of resuscitated the direct path. So I really like the direct path, and so I give in the primer 3 very brief visuals of traditions that introduce you to that understanding. One is Parmenides, through a commentary on his poem called On Nature. He was a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher. One is a very brief introduction to Advaita Vedanta with some visuals to support an understanding of their kind of framework of the Mandukya Upanishad. And then one is Hermeticism, and the one from Hermeticism mostly includes quotes and comparisons of the different Hermetic books and some of the Upanishads. So it's a very brief but very important introduction, so that you know that's what there. So you know where you can go. Now, how does this relate to tarot? This is a question that's very important, and this is I'll give you guys a sneak peek of what is happening in the future. So, being that there as many ways as there is to live, there's that many paths to truth, right? So many paths to truth. Some are direct and some are not so direct. So these that I introduced to you are a little bit more on the direct path. When you study tarot, esoteric tarot, you're on a much more progressive and much more scenic path. There's more visuals, there's symbols, there's associations. For some people, there's ritual, there's maybe meditation. There's many things you can do with the mind as you slowly go up the mountain to truth. There's one method I've experimented with that is a place in between the slow and progressive study of esoteric tarot, but not the direct path of like Advaita or even Hermeticism, I would argue, or modern teachers like Adyashanti, etc., which is a collapsing of the tree of life. And when I've taught it to my students, I've called it the Tarot Mysticism process. And we've only really done it once, and it was like a year or 2 ago. I'm not good with time. And I feel like we're going to be doing that again. And essentially, the premise is that each of the tarot cards, not only do they represent a whole data point of associations and symbolism, and there's so much to them, but they also reflect what I call the mystical mic drops of the sages. So the mystical mic drops of the sages include, but are not limited to, the Mahavakyas of the Upanishads. The Mahavakyas are the condensed sayings that are, in principle, are supposed to lead you right to the truth by saying something as simple as, you are that. And the idea is, if you do enough training with a Swami, if you cover all your bases, if you follow the tradition, there comes to be a moment when your mind and body are cleaned up enough where when you hear the master, the guru tell you, you are that, there's a transmission and you become enlightened. So that's, in a nutshell, what the Mahavakya, one of the things the Mahavakyas do. There's much, much more to it. Like, there's so much more to it, but that's in a nutshell. So I'm playing around and I'm like, well, to me, when I hear the Mahavakya, thou art that, I have them written here somewhere. Where are they? All of the, is it here? Oh, here they are. Here's the mystical mic drops, right? So here's a few of them that I really like. So the first one is Tatvamasi, thou art that, Chandogya Upanishad. I am Brahman. I am that I am, Exodus, right? Consciousness is Brahman. The self is Brahman. Suchness. There's all these different, even I have Parmenides, we have the Gita, we have Plotinus. I even have a modern one. I don't do a lot of modern spirituality. I don't do a lot of modern channeled stuff, but I do have a Course in Miracles in here, which essentially is a modern Mahavakya, which says nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So it has a different cultural skin, but it's the same type of thing. So these mystical mic drops or Mahavakyas, they are attempts to directly point you to your true nature, to reality itself. And hopefully that will lead into the destruction of the subject-object relationship. The smack of the cane from the Zen master will bring you to the present moment in such an intimate way where there's nothing other. And in a lack of otherness, there's a fullness and an emptiness, and there it is. There it is, cat's out of the bag. Okay, so for some people that works and for some people that doesn't. So I'm reading these things from all these different traditions and I'm like, you know what? I think the tarot can do better. I think the tarot can, let's see if the tarot can get here. So I'm thinking the Tree of Life and the tarot itself ultimately is the Mahavakya. It's the logos. It's what the logos is. It's both the creative process of reality, but also the urge of reality to realize that creative process. It works both ways, you know? But it's this thou art that art thou, right? Happening. So what we've done in the Academy, and again, we haven't done this in a long time, so if you're a student of mine, if this is interesting to you, let me know. I'd like to do it next year at some point, but we're building up to that. So like this fall, we're doing a lot of work on the level 2, the Kabbalah, astrology, symbolism, inner work. We have to do that first before we get to this. But I think potentially we'll be doing this sometime in 2027 after we build the foundation of the inner world in level 2. So if you're not a student of Tarot Mysticism Academy and you want to go to this level of work, you'll need to join soon to catch up with level 1, then join us for level 2 this fall, and then we'll be doing this work that I'm speaking about now sometime in 2027. So the premise is this. The tarot cards themselves are Mahavakyas, but not direct. They're indirect Mahavakyas. So they all point to the suchness of existence, the reality of what you are, but they do so in their own ways. And the way that we can work with this is by taking the Tree of Life and condense it. Like we take each pathway. So traditionally, if you're working with the Tree of Life, if you're path working, you'll go up these different paths in your own psyche. My problem with that, and this is, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but if you're working on this inner world and you go up to Keter and you're still in an inner world with a subject and object, if there's you and then there's the image, that's not Keter. If Keter has an image, it's not Keter, because Keter is one. It's the monad. If it's one, there can't be you and the image. There's just what is. So there's a third level of working with tarot, and this I haven't seen anywhere. So I don't know if maybe people are working on it. I don't know, but I'm definitely working on it. Is that the cards collapse the distance between these levels of reality. So if you know the Tree of Life, you know that each Sephirot is a level of reality. It's a sphere of manifestation from the divine, a sphere of creation, and the cards can show the relationships between those spheres, which are also the relationships between the aspects of us, our conscious mind, our subconscious mind, our bodies, our autonomic nervous system. It's all there. This is like the fun little manual that would be good to have once you're born. Here's the Tree of Life. Good luck. This is the manual. This is the Kia build the manual setup guide. Okay, but the Tree of Life does break down in Keter, because in Keter, in the monad, in the infinite singularity, there is no Tree of Life. Like, it's all gone, and you realize it was all just a fun game all along. Easy to say, harder to understand. What the Tarot Mysticism process does, and this is something I don't talk about a lot in my content because it's not as popular either, but is each card collapses each path, and it helps you release the effort you're using to separate everything out. This is so fun. Okay, you ready for this? When we study the Kabbalah and the Tarot, we make a mental effort to separate everything out to understand this. This is what Crowley talks about in Analysis and Synthesis, by the way. So if you have my first book, I talk about this in the, it's Temperance in Art, okay? So in the art card, I talk about this, that there's analysis and synthesis, which is a big idea of the card that Crowley talks about. So when we study the Tree of Life and the Tarot in this way, we are analyzing. We are breaking reality down into its different parts to integrate them and to celebrate them and to grow and stretch the mind, which I've been talking about a lot today. But when we get to Keter, it all falls apart. All the analysis, all the separating out that we've been doing, that effort dies. And the collage, the cohesion of it all is then realized. And there's no Tree of Life there. There's no tarot card there. There's no sadhana there. There's not even a samadhi there. There's no thing to do there. There's no doing, making, changing, or differentiating, right? When we're reading tarot, when we're doing anything, when we're in the subject-object relationship, we're doing, making, changing, and differentiating. But there's none of that. So what the Tarot Mysticism process does is through we use the cards as a stepping stone to release the effort that is separating one aspect of ourselves from another. So for example, if we start with Malkuth below, we release the effort of the difference between our body and our sensations. Then we release the effort in Yesod, we start to release the effort between our subtle sensations and our breath. Then we start to release the difference between our breath, subtle sensations, and our thought. And that creeps up to Tiferet. In Tiferet, we have the mind itself. And then in the mind itself, we release what we're using to separate the mind from the body, from the subtle sensations, from that which observes all of it in Keter. And we keep doing that all the way up. And then when we get all the way up, we're like, oh, there's no more effort. And then there's just peace. And then we have that singularity, that point of no return, where there's no time, there's no causality, there's no doing, changing, differentiating. And then when we return, quote unquote, we don't even return because that's all there is anyway, but when we jump back into the matrix, when we put back the virtual reality headset of time and space, then we can build from that place. And then ethics, compassion, kindness, and love just happen naturally from that place. So that's something I teach in level 3 that we will be doing more of in 2027. That Tarot Mysticism process is not in this book, but it is the required material to do that is in this book. So you'll need to know the Sephirot to know all the things to do that. What is the name of your first book? Does information overlap in the second one? So my first book is Tarot Mysticism, the Psycho-Spiritual Technology of the Thoth Tarot. It focuses on the Thoth Tarot and teaches it in the lens of mysticism. It's mostly text, so it's a bunch of text. My new book, Tarot Mysticism, is mostly visuals and reference guides and imagery with text. So it's better for reference. This uses Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, but you can apply it to Thoth and other decks as well. Exactly, MEO, just like a video game. Yeah, just like a video game. And the thing about the video game thing is because when it's not... Okay, so I'm not like, you guys know I love sharing what I think is important. And I don't always share what I think is important because sometimes I share what I know people will think is important. So I'll share that because I know it will benefit people. So not everyone has a desire to go all the way to what I just talked about. For some people, it's meaningless or it's pointless or they don't understand it or it's just not interesting to them, which is totally valid. But here's one benefit on the regular world, on the conventional day-to-day world that comes with exiting the video game and returning to the video game. When we go through our video game life, this simulation life, this Maya, this whatever, this demiurgic world, if you will, if you're a Gnostic, we obviously have fear. We have hopes and desires, and we have fears, and a lot of those things, mess with us. So when we exit the video game and then return to the video game, what happens is that because we realize it's a video game, we take everything a little bit less seriously. But also, because we realize it's a video game, we enjoy it a little bit more. We take it more seriously. We both take it less seriously and more seriously because we know it's a video game. There's a paradox there. So once we exit and we know it's a video game and we take it less seriously, but also take it more seriously because it's a video game that we're playing, we have less holding us back to really do what we want to do. And life becomes so much more fun. There's an existential ease that becomes a new foundation for everything that we do. And it's like the most comforting thing ever. And then everything else becomes an added bonus. Like everything we experience, body, mind, the world, is just the cherry on top of this piece at the bottom. So that is one benefit to the realization of it's a video game. Yes, the book will be available on Amazon only this Saturday for $35. And then after this Saturday, the price will increase. But yeah, right now it's only going to be available on Amazon. And for those of you that don't shop on Amazon, I'm so sorry. I totally understand. I get it. But for right now, it's only going to be on Amazon. Yes. And yet we need to understand when no thing becomes everything. So that right there that's it. That to me is the logos, the becoming of everything from nothing. It's the first possible departure from no possible thing. That is the fool and the magician, the relationship between the fool and the magician. Yeah, Giselle, that's a good point. Like, that's a really good point. I don't know if it's a choice. Like, it's definitely not a choice of the body and mind, because the body and mind are manifestations, or what's a better word? Aggregations of it, emerging aggregations of it. And that can lead into a really interesting nihilistic place of like, I didn't sign up for this and I have to like take care of this body and mind. So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it's not really a choice. But could it be a choice of something else? I couldn't say, because the mind is asking that. My mind is asking that question. So if my mind is asking that question, it's already projecting its mode onto what transcends it. So yeah. What a fun one. All right, so I'm going to wrap up now and give you guys one final review of all the information so that you guys know. I am planning to release the book Saturday. I can't guarantee it will be available on Amazon on Saturday, but it should be. I've done everything I can to make sure it's available for purchase on Saturday. So what we're planning is Saturday, I'm going to do a launch celebration live. And for those of you that buy the book on Saturday and come to the YouTube live, there's a chance to win a free course at TMA. 2 people will win. We'll do one in probably, I don't know, we'll do two different times during the live. So that'll be fun. And yeah, Tarot Mysticism Visual Primer. I'm so glad it's out. I know a lot of you have been asking for this for so long. And it's been a crazy 3 months. I didn't think self-publishing a book would take so much work. You never think something's going to be like difficult or time-consuming until you do it. And you're like, oh boy, the first time doing anything always takes the most amount of time. So I'm so glad this bad boy is finally done. I'm so glad for you guys for my students, it's going to be amazing to have this tool for the advanced tarot work we're doing in the fall. So if you want to do this advanced tarot work with me, we're starting this soon. If you're not a student of Tarot Mysticism Academy and you want to do this advanced tarot work, you will need to join sooner, because there is prerequisite material you will have to go through in order to join us for the advanced work in level 2. So if you want more details about that, I'm going to put that in the chat here. If you are a student of mine already, keep going through reviewing your level 2 courses in preparation for the level 2 work we start in October. And that's going to be really fun. And obviously, I recommend getting this book as a reference guide for all the advanced stuff. Yeah, so for students, this will be a great reference guide. For my non-students, this will be a good introduction to the general overview of the Tarot Mysticism system that I teach at the Academy, and its various topics and correspondences. So it's very helpful. There's lots of, in this live we had just today, I showed you guys many different ways you can use this book. This is not a How to Read Tarot 101 book. This is not Connect to Your Intuition and Inner Power book. This is a book on Tarot mysticism. This is a book on the use of tarot as a framework of mysticism. And mysticism is anything that helps you recognize your identity, your true nature, both on a personal level, but on the more transpersonal level of what you really are, and the many levels of that journey. So yeah, really excited to share this with you. What else? Yeah, hopefully the Saturday's live will go as planned. This one didn't go as planned, so I might have to troubleshoot more things. But yeah, thank you guys so much for spending your Thursday with me and supporting my work and all the above. This was a fun one. If you have any questions about the book or TMA or anything, just shoot me an email and my team will get back. Luigi will get back to you. He's an amazing support for TMA. He's all the members of TMA. Thank you, team, everyone, for doing amazing. Luigi, Bridget, Ryan, Deb, everyone, you guys are killing it. Bridget, Ryan, Deb, Luigi, and Melissa for wearing all your hats. All right, much love. I will see you guys in the next wormhole.